Click, click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? The Nothing But Niners crew is back, man. Guys, it's time to review this game, all right? The game is over. We have finally got our first L of the season, but relax, relax, relax. In the famous word of my man, Anthony Perry, relax. It's going to be okay. I promise you guys. We're going to break it all down, but before we do, we have to go through the formalities, guys. If this is your first time here on the YouTube page, we would like to say thank you. We truly appreciate your time. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And then more importantly, turn on your notifications. That way you get breaking news videos like the 49ers signing Demontre Moore in the middle of the day. All right. You're going to know exactly when we're going live as long as you got those notifications turned on. All right. Also, hit us up on our website, guys. It is www.nothingbutniners.com. That is your one-stop shop for any and everything 49ers from us here at Nothing But Niners. Okay. You're going to see all of our different social media pages. We have Twitter and Snapchat. Those handles are Nothing But Nine. ERS. So make sure you give us follows over there. You have our Facebook and our Instagram pages. That is Nothing But Niners, spelled all the way out with spaces in between. Make sure you give us follows over there. Shout out to the Facebook community. Also, you guys 12,000 plus strong. Really appreciate what you guys got going on over there. Also, you'll see our podcast over there, okay? It's NB Niners. It's Nothing But Niners. It's NBN. Talk 49ers with Nothing But Niners. However it is that you want to look for it, give us a search. You'll see the little symbol, the logo that's over here. All right, you'll see that logo there. That's the one you're going to look for. That's our podcast where we turn these very videos into podcasts for those of you who can't sit and watch the entire thing, okay? So we want to thank you guys for checking us out over there. Last but certainly not least, you're going to see on that same exact website a fan page. It is your pictures, your photos of you, your game day attire, your pets, your cars, whatever it is that you're doing on game day. You send us the pictures of it. We're posting over there for you guys. And if you want to do that, you guys can send us those emails. All right, they are NB Niners at nothingbutniners.com. That is where you're going to want to send the banners, okay? So you guys make sure you let us know how you're feeling over there. That is the email address, all right? And now, without further ado, let's get to the show. I got my man Nick in here today. What's going on, Nick?
Bang, bang, not a gang. Let's go.
You just kind of vanished on me, man. I didn't know what happened. I was looking down. I didn't see nothing change. It's all good.
Oh, I had to go make some changes real quick.
It's all good. It's all good. And then we got my man Wayne Breezy in here. What's up, Wayne?
What's good? All gas, no breaks. Y'all already know what time it is. I'm back. I'm hype. I'm ready. I'm ready for Sunday, man. Let's get this going. Woo!
And we go from the hype man to Mr. Relax himself, Perry.
What's up, guys? What's going on, fellas? Always eating. I'm always hungry, dude. Long days at work, but man, guys, it's a tough L, but we have a lot to talk about. Even if we lost, it was a great game. It was probably one of the best football games I've watched in a long time. So let's get right into it, guys. We have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, man. Definitely the most entertaining game. I wish it ended different, but there were some of you guys who were saying maybe the Niners need to get one of these losses out the way. Let's talk about that.
I'm always hungry, dude. Long days at work.
All right, here we go. Let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about getting the loss out the way. Is it possible? Is it possible that this is what the 49ers need? And if so, how? Someone break that down for me. Nick, I'm going to put it on you first because you were one of the first ones. Matter of fact, the preview show, we were saying we could go 16-0. It could be done. And you were like, I don't know, man. We might need to lose a game. Hopefully we could take that pressure off. What's up? You feel vindicated now? Is this what the 49ers needed?
Look, Jesus, I didn't want to lose that game, right? But, I mean, obviously I did say that, it's good. Sometimes, dude, sometimes a loss kind of just makes you reevaluate yourself. Makes you go in there and look at the things that you did. Because, look, when you get away with – so when you're in a game or whatever, like me personally, you go through all this adversity and you still get the win. You don't really look at the negatives as to what you could – like, you kind of get set in your rhythm of winning, right? So – you don't go back. You don't look at the things as to where it says, we didn't do this wrong. And I'm sure Kyle Shanahan goes in there and says, look, guys, this is what we did, goes over everything, goes over all those things like that. But you kind of get complacent with that kind of stuff. And sometimes this just brings you back to reality and says, look, we're not invisible. We can be beaten. And if we want to go to the playoffs.
Invincible.
What did I say?
Invisible. Can you see me?
Yeah, I'm saying invisible, like invisible to people don't see, like really see who you are. Like that you're just winning, like invisible. Yeah. I'm not saying like, yes, invincible is another word you could use. Yes. But like, you saw like what people were saying on media and stuff. Like they're basically didn't see who we were. They was like, we don't know who the 49ers are. Are they real? You know, blah, blah, blah. And these guys are just sitting back like, okay, yeah, we're 8-0. Are we for real? Blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it takes that smooth kick in the beep to know that, hey, we can be beaten. We can't keep taking this for granted. And I think I didn't want to lose this game, but I do think this game will make it that much more of, okay, we have to get through these guys and it's time to win. Like they're not a better team than us, blah, blah, blah. But it just puts you back to reality, man.
First of all, the Niners didn't get kicked in the butt. I'm going to call it like it is. They didn't get kicked in the ass. I'm going to say it. All right. What happened was the Niners kicked themselves in the butt and they lost that game. Now, I didn't want to lose this game. I do understand Nick's concept and where he's coming from about, not getting complacent. I sometimes it could be in reverse. Sometimes you could lose a game, get into a funky mood, and you lose another game. Then you get to another funky mood and you lose another game. And then you get to another funky mood and hopefully somebody kick you in the ass and you get over it and you win a game. That's not the trajectory that we want to go. These guys were winning. These guys are destined to be champions, and that is the aspect or the concept that they better have coming back off of a tough loss. Now, the reason why I say we didn't get kicked in the beat was because they didn't. So I really do believe coming off of this loss that they're going to come back and punch somebody in the mouth. They're not going to knock somebody. They might just knock them out. Swing Mike Tyson, wicka, hooka, booker, right? They might just do their thing. And that's what they get. That's what the next team going to get. Because the 49ers, I know we say they should have won that game. I was listening to Crocker on his podcast. And he didn't like the word should because at that point they could have won that game. At any given moment, they could have won that game. And they could have, if you think about it. I like the way he broke it down. Check out his podcast too. But what I'm saying is, I do get where you're coming from, Nick, about the complacency. I just don't think that's the mindset of this team. I don't think they wanted to lose. I don't think they ever want to lose. I think they feel that they can go undefeated. Having that mindset, I am uber confident that this 49ers team is going to continue to do what they was doing and be successful. Extra confident. Now, we'll talk about injuries and all that stuff later, but as far as their mindset, that junk is there, y'all. It's not going anywhere. This was a tough loss. This was a tough one that they're gonna have to swallow. You saw my man Richard Sherman swap jerseys with and signing that jersey at the end of the game. But did you see his smirk when he took the picture? That mother was not trying to smile. He was not happy. So that's the mindset that this 49ers team has with the veterans and the young people. That's that mindset that's that dog fight in them that they're gonna come back out here and do what they need to do and handle business. That's what they're gonna do. I'm done.
I'm gonna give it to Anthony to respond to that also, but I do want to say something about Sherman's demeanor. Last year, we did a lot of losing. I don't remember seeing Sherman so upset, like visually upset immediately following games, even at pressers. So it says something about expectations. That's what you were talking about in that, Wayne. You were talking about how the 49ers players felt like they could go 16-0. They want to win every single game. So it speaks to what you were saying with their mindset this season in particular. We did a lot of losing last year, and Richard Sherman was still going to the podium and he was still talking. He wasn't visually upset. He was upset last one. He was upset during the jersey swap, and he was upset after the win at Arizona. You could see it, like they have a standard now. There is a standard. They have established a culture of winning. It started in preseason. You could say it started with Jimmy Garoppolo, even if you want, but it started in preseason. They went 3-1 out there. We heard our head coach say, the guys got used to winning. Let's hope it continues into the regular season. And then boom, they rattle off 8 in a row. So I just wanted to say that. But go ahead, Perry, man. Is there some way that this loss could actually help the Niners down the road or even immediately?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to put it straightforward, I think this team needed to lose. And here, let me give a good point. So, you go into a full season, say you don't lose a single game, you go 16-0. It's nice to have that good mentality, but if you can't face any type of reality that you are going to lose at some point, then I don't know if the team is really prepared to face any adversity going forward. So let me rephrase. This team losing this kind of game should really prepare them for what it's like to face serious teams going forward. And I'm not knocking teams like the Steelers and the Panthers and even the Cardinals because they are pretty solid teams. But you go out there and you lose an overtime game against Seattle, losing all of your, pretty much your star players. These guys got to go out there and see what it's like to really, really have to be on their ass the whole game. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have it going. The defense was pretty much on its toes the entire game. It was one of those things where you didn't feel like the team was fluctuating with confidence overall. Like they were still on a high. I mean, you never felt like the team was down. You never felt like they were really out of it. But there were some points in that game when you thought like, man, are they going to fold? Is this going to be it? And I think that kind of feeling that the team can even just think about is really beneficial for them. Going forward, if they go down again, say against Green Bay or Baltimore, and you can look back at the Seattle game, these guys can be ready to see what it's like to come back from behind, to see that, look, we scored a defensive touchdown. We're a field goal away. We're right back in this game. So losing a game the way they did against Seattle, I think is really beneficial because it can mentally prepare them for almost any challenge going forward, especially when it comes to losing guys the way they did last game.
All right. So guys were dropping like flies and everything. So we got to talk about it, man. The injury is probably the biggest thing other than the loss that came from the game. Joe Staley is placed on the injury list, not IR. He is still expected to play sometime soon, but Joe Staley actually had surgery on his finger already after getting a second opinion. And these guys waste no time doing that kind of stuff. We also lost Matt Breida with an ankle. We lost Aziz Al-Shaair with a concussion. We lost Emmanuel Sanders with a rib injury. Like the list goes on and on. DJ Jones had a groin injury. Ronald Blair suffered a season-ending injury, tore his ACL. I mean, this game was just physically daunting on the 49ers. And with all of that happening, oh, wait, I'm not done yet. Weston Richburg missed some snaps. We played without two tackles on the offensive line. It was just, it was bad out there. And with all of that said, even with the backup kicker, the 49ers were this far away from winning that game in overtime. The kick. There were drop passes. There was so much that happened that the team could have won this game. Let's talk about the injuries really quick, and then we can get deep into this game review, fellas. What's the most concerning injury in your opinions? Let's see if, I tell you what, everyone has a lot of different concerns here. Let's try to not double up on one. Let's name one, and then the next person name another injury and why it's important to them or why it's concerning to them. All right, so let me see. Let's go back to Nick, then we'll do Anthony, and then we'll do Wayne. We'll make it harder for Wayne. You're on mute, Nick. I can't take you off.
My bad. I know what everybody else is going to say, so I'm going to stay away from that name because obviously that's the easiest one to take. But I'm going to go with Matt Breida. And I think this injury is concerning due to the fact that you kind of get down to two running backs and then Jeff Wilson, which Raheem Mostert can't stay healthy either. Mostert can't stay healthy. Wilson has been up and down, and not in running wise or things like that, but up and down from practice squad to the team. But obviously he's been up now for 3 weeks. But anyway, I'm going to say Breida. I'm going to go with Breida because Tevin Coleman has been injured with his ankle as well this year. If he goes down, it's a deep position, but it's really not. It's not as deep as the receiver's position. One of those guys go down, it hurts us a lot more.
All right. I mean, it was deep when you start the year out,
Right.
Throughout the time, attrition is starting to take its toll, and now we're down to Mostert and Wilson as the reserves behind Coleman. So we'll see what happens. Anthony or Perry, what am I calling you on the show, by the way? What do you prefer to go? I'm going to call you Perry because I see it on your screen. So Perry, a concerning injury for you, man.
Just like Nick, I know what everyone else is gonna say, so I'm not gonna say it. But I'll say I think the next best option is Emmanuel Sanders. So I know that his injury is day to day, and I know he should be fine going forward. But is it kind of crazy to think that I personally think losing Emmanuel Sanders to this offense is more important or more worse than losing Kittle? Because you look at how Garoppolo's connection is and his chemistry is with Sanders right away, and they already have it going. And you hardly ever see chemistry between two guys work out so well and so fast. And I think Kittle being this offense is huge as it is, but again, it's still not ideal to have your star tight end be the number one option. You want a solid wide receiver threat, and that's Emmanuel Sanders. And I think with the way the rest of the wide receivers have been performing, minus Debo, who finally had this good game, losing Sanders, I think, puts a lot of pressure on Garoppolo once again, because you got defenses who already key in on Kittle as much as they do. You take out Sanders, you bring Kittle back. Well, Kittle is going to draw triple coverage. He's going to draw a crap ton of attention. And then you have wide receivers who can't hold the ball on every other catch. So you have a guy like Garoppolo who can only trust one person, basically, and that's Kittle. So I think losing Emmanuel Sanders is huge. And I think his level of importance to the offense is that, about as high as Kittle, if not arguably higher. So I roll with Sanders.
Wow, a bigger piece to the offense than George Kittle. Emmanuel Sanders is definitely a big piece. We had him throughout most of the first quarter, and Jimmy Garoppolo was on fire at that point. Jimmy Garoppolo was on fire at that point with Sanders in there. I think I'm not even going to try to say what the stats were, but he only had like 3 incompletions and he had 84 yards for a touchdown or 74 yards or something like that. He was on fire. Then Sanders went down and then boom. So there might be some validity to what you're saying there. We got to vote for Breida. We've got to vote for Sanders. All right, Wayne, it's on you, Breezy. An important or a hard injury to overcome.
I think a hard injury to overcome, and it's probably the hardest one to overcome, is my man DJ Jones, because it's a groin. And when you pull your groin, that junk don't heal overnight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna take time, and you got to give it time. And his pressure, the sack at the beginning of the game set the tone for this defense. I don't know if y'all remember, but he bulldozed, ran over, squash, smash, hawk, the center of the Seahawks on the second play of the game. And that set the tone. That set the tone. That let my man know that it was going to be a long night, and it was. As soon as he went out, the defense continued to play, but going forward, not having that piece on your inside could have been reasons why we weren't able to contain Russell later on. He's not the container, but I'm just saying. It just changed up assignments. I think that DJ Jones is just an important piece on defense, Perry, as you think that Emmanuel Sanders is on offense, even though the star of the defense might be Bosa. So that important piece right there, that might be hindering us going forward, even though we know we got reserves that could fill in, and the Niners kept the defense going strong. But late down in that game, when reserves got tired, what happened? So I think the DJ Jones injury, that groin injury, is nothing to mess with, man. And you got to just let it. It only heals with rest. It's one of them, you just got to take the day off, take the week off, take 2 weeks off, take 3 weeks off until he feel like he could move. That's one of the worst injuries.
I know they said that he came back and he played the rest of the game and things like that, but one of the toughest injuries I think to overcome is going to have to probably be our center, Weston Richburg. I know he came back. I know he finished the game, but my biggest concern for him was that we have our biggest concern for him is that the interior of the offensive line has been the solid unit. All right. It's been them They have been the most solid and the most cohesion there. We have shuffled out those tackles on both the left and the right side. Joe Staley's going to be gone again. School is coming back and all, but we don't quite know what's happening out there. But the middle has been solid, you know. And with Weston Richburg, I know he came back, but I'm concerned. It was something that I heard they had to take his helmet away from him because he was like dying to get back out there really quick, and then he ended up coming back in there. He did finish the game, but what's the injury? I want to know how serious it is. What's the likelihood of him possibly not coming back? You know, I just don't understand how it's going to work out, and so that's going to be one of my votes for it for sure. I'm hoping it's not significant, but we will see what's going on here. Okay, so all right, so for people watching, I just gotta let you guys know.
What is Nick doing?
He's trying to get the banner. He's trying to get the banner over Perry's show. It's not gonna. He's just pop. It's like the freaking Brady Bunch intro.
Did it? Bip, 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 bip. Here's a story of a. All right, come on, man. Come on, Nick.
Talking about Weston Richburg, who even came back, man. I'm just sitting here trying to go with the flow, and you are killing me, bro.
Bro, that shit's driving me nuts up there.
I don't.
We're gonna make it black. We're gonna leave it. It's fine, man. They know who we are already. It's going. All right, here we go. They know who we are. We thank everybody for their support. It's all good. All right, so we talked about the biggest injuries. No one mentioned George Kittle because that didn't happen this game, so that's why we didn't touch on it. You know, but there were some negatives. I don't know. Did you guys want to start with the negatives? Or you want to start with the positives? There's three of y'all. Let's take a vote real quick. Give me a thumbs up or a thumb down. Up for positive, down for negative. We got a negative vote. We got two negatives. All right, we're going to start with the negatives here, man. Let's start with the tackles. Let's start with the tackles here.
Let's start with the tackles.
Davion Clowney looked like a Pro Bowler out there. We made him look like an All-Pro. Forget Pro Bowler. Pro Bowlers are a popularity contest. You got guys that the league just happens to love and they get in every year. I don't care about that. Let's talk about All-Pros. That's how we made Jadeveon Clowney look. This guy was Jimmy. He was a sweater, and Jimmy was wearing them. That's how much he was all over Jimmy. If it wasn't a sack, it was a hit. If it wasn't a hit, it was a hurry. He's picking up fumbles and whatnot. He's running, he's scoring and everything. This guy was phenomenal out there. And he hasn't had a game like this all year long. I did a bold prediction piece, and I said that Nick Bosa was going to lead all rookies. He was going to set a record with 8 hurries, 8 pressures in the game, right? That was my bold prediction. He was going to set a rookie record for most pressures in the game. Jadeveon Clowney was responsible for 11 pressures by himself. That's how good this guy was that game. That is insane. I'm going to step back. I'm going to let you guys talk about it. I'm going to go get a refill. I'm going to drop out, so you guys are going to see a little bit more of the Brady Bunch stuff going on here. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to leave my setup. I'm just going to go on mute. But you guys have at it, man. Talk about this Jadeveon Clowney and our tackles. Less about him, but more about the tackles, the play of the tackles. Why do you guys think this was happening?
Well, I mean, you said you hit it right on the head. I mean, before, when we were talking earlier, and just this weekend after the game, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier too. Is you're good from injury, you're 100% from injury, but you're definitely not football ready. He just didn't look football ready. Now I don't know how. Look, Mike McGlinchey. I would say Joe Staley maybe could have been his finger. He broke it sometime in the game, so maybe it could have been his finger. Just because you don't want to use that full hand press or whatever. But Mike McGlinchey, and I mean Joe Staley could have just been bad because he's not in football health anyway. But Mike McGlinchey, man, I said this before. He just hasn't looked really good all year. I just really don't think he's really looked, like the tackle that he looked like last year. So I don't know why they look that way. I mean, I'm only trying to guess and just say that I would think that it's football shape, meaning, somebody said something about Joe Staley in the huddle, and you could tell. Oh, I think it was asked to Jimmy Garoppolo today. They were like, how do you think the tackles did coming back? Do you think they were ready or whatever? And he's like, well, I seen I seen Mike McGlinchey stretching out a little bit or whatever in the huddle. So it takes a little bit of time for these guys to get back under their feet. Basically, he was saying. I was asked Jimmy Garoppolo today, and that's what Jimmy Garoppolo said about being in the huddle. But other than that, man, I can't think of anything. I can't sit here and say that School and Brunskill are just better tackles than them because that's just not the truth. I just don't think they were in football health.
So they rushed back the tackles. That's what you think it was. You guys disagree? You guys agree with that sentiment? Because if you guys have the same one, then I'm going to keep it moving.
It's hard for me to accept that they rush back the tackles. I know that's what everybody wants to say, because they got beat up. But my question is, when do you bring them back? I mean, they got to get in football shape at some point. I get it. It was against Seattle. No one expected Clowney to be all He-Man, Tarzan the Barbarian out there. He didn't turn up like that until he went to the tent because we thought he popped the shoulder, and then he came back out like he was Super Saiyan 4. So I just don't think that they were rushed back because they were cleared, and y'all can disagree with me, but they had to come back at some point, and they got to get in football shape. And I know y'all say they could play and they could get in shape and practice, but I still don't think that's the same. No. I still think they got to play in a game. I'm not saying y'all. I'm talking about the people.
No. I'm saying I agree with that.
Yeah, they got to play in a game, and they got they patooties handed to them the whole night. Like they was just getting beat the whole night. I mean, I think Staley still played a little bit better than McGlinchey, but they both got ramsacked the whole night. And I think McGlinchey's just going through this sophomore slump, man. It happens to everybody. We have to accept it. It's what it's going to be. He was dang near all pro last year, and this year he can't be. He's not even all. So we just gotta deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't even have the A this year, Wayne.
I'll at least give whatever. He just ain't got it. So I don't think they were rushed back, man. I think they were set up to play. They just weren't in shape, like Nick said. They weren't in football shape, excuse me, like Nick said. But I felt like you got to go with your best players. All the time, you go with your best players. You go with your best every single time. You can't second guess yourself about that. If you get beat, you just get beat.
That I don't agree with. That I mean, you should go with your best players, but I don't think they were the best players this week. I think you should have went one more week with.
Well, you only think they weren't the best players this week because they didn't perform well. Had they performed well, you wouldn't be saying that. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, but I'm saying, but you normally see what you see in game. That you see if you're football ready for the week.
Yeah, but
the coaches should have known. The coaches should have known.
But if the coaches felt they was the best, that's why they played. And did School really have an injury, or was they just bull cripping to get it right? But they said he had an injury.
He was inactive. They didn't need to say anything else.
Word was that School was injured. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I don't know, because they asked the question today to Kyle Shanahan, said, will Justin School jump back in? And he says, we'll see. So there might be an injury to him.
Yeah, that's why he said most likely. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know.
Likely, we'll see.
But I agree with Nick to an extent, but I just feel like you got to go with your best. And if they were cleared by the coach, by the medical staff, and the coach said, yo, you guys gonna jump in, you got a tough task against you. And it's just one guy. Just went from side to side. It was just, they should have just, I don't know, whatever. They got beat bad. And Jimmy Clowney was his shadow. That was Clowney ain't played that good since he played my Wolverines, and he smashed the crap out of the running back. Matter of fact, he hit the running back so hard I can't remember my running back name. That's how long.
Clowney's a weird cat, man. When he has help on a defensive line, he's not that good. I don't know if he gets complacent and assumes that other people can pick up the slack, but like when he was with the Texans, I thought that their defensive line was going to be nothing. Merciless was out there and all that, but it was like they're not going to do anything when J.J. Watt's not there. But he looked good that season without
J.J. Watt, right?
Yeah, so it's like he plays better when there's no one else. I don't know. I don't quite know how it works. I really don't get it. And I don't even know if Ziggy Ansah was active. I
thought Ziggy played. He was like he was a non-factor.
Right.
He got benched in the game for another end. That's how bad he was.
Yeah.
You know who he got benched for, Perry? The Griffin brother.
Yeah, he got benched for Shaq Griffin. That's right.
The one,
That's right.
the
I
one,
remember
the
that.
one with
Yeah.
the one arm. Because remember, I asked about that. I was like, "Yo, hi."
And
I said one hand. I'm sorry. I asked the question in the chat. I was like, "Yo, when did he get two hands?" And he was like, "Oh, that's the brother." And I forgot that they were on the same team, bro. My bad. No disrespect to the Griffin family. Much love, much respect. I still hate y'all boys because y'all Seahawks. Here we go.
Harry, I gotta ask you, man. So you heard Nick's opinion. They were rushed back. Wayne says no. You got to go with your guy. They're your starters. What's your opinion on it? What was up with that tackles, man? And Wayne just said, it's just a sophomore slump from McGlinchey. So what's your opinion on it, man?
If they would have waited one more week and played in Arizona and played like the way they did on Monday, everyone would be saying they got rushed back again. So at some point, you have to put them in and let them get the reps. I mean, you can't just put them in there and expect them to be the exact same that they were at the start of the season. These guys need to work back from their injury. And, my only major concern is that I don't think I expected them to perform as bad as they did on Monday. I would have at least expected an average performance at best. But I mean, Joe Staley was getting schooled by Clowney and whoever was over him almost every other snap. So was McGlinchey. And I agree with Nick. McGlinchey has not been that good this season. So I wouldn't have rode the hot hand, though. I still would have put those two guys out there because, like I said, they need their reps. They need to get their work in. And they're going to take their lumps, and it's going to look ugly. But I don't think we'll see a performance that bad again, at least from Staley. And I know he's going to miss a couple weeks, but at the least, I can hope he can be as ready as he can be because for as long as I've been a Niners fan, for as long as I've really paid attention, I've never seen Joe Staley have that bad of a game. And even last season, when a lot of people take age into consideration and even coming off an injury, like I said, I still would have expected him to have an average game, but he did not stand a chance. He did not stand a chance. And you could even argue that an average edge player could have owned him. That's how bad he performed. So, it was ugly, but those guys need to get in there and get their reps. And ultimately, what can you do? You have your two cornerstone tackles. And, like Wayne said, too, you're going to go with the guys you believe in. You're going to go with who got medically cleared to play. So, they need to take their lumps and they need to get their reps. That's the bottom line.
I think that you said they could have got manhandled by two average dudes. That's funny. I think that why can't we just say Clowney was having a great ass game? Like, why can't Clowney just have a good game and he just got the best of our players due to them coming back from injury or whatever? He just got the best of them. That's just what happened.
Have you heard Clowney's name called once since he's joined Seattle? Once.
No, but my point is he's got
an impact.
But that doesn't matter. This could have just been his one breakout game. You might not hear his name for the rest of the year, Anthony. Like, you just might not. But that game right there on Monday Night Football, where all the lights were shining on him, he showed up.
Every player has their best game of the season. Perhaps it's just Clowney's. I get what you're saying there, but
I do agree with that too.
A good player, Joe Staley's supposed to be our all-pro tackle, right? Or our Pro Bowl tackler, right? He's supposed to be the savvy veteran. Mike McGlinchey's a second-year guy. Like you said, sophomore slumps happen, right? But Joe Staley, I mean, he looked beat out there, man. And so I think I'm closer to siding with Nick on this, where they were rushed back, and not in the sense that they weren't healthy, right? You got a broken bone. That bone is either broken or it's not. It's either mended or it's not. Right, it's in the process of healing, not quite 100%. Then they tap on it,
or you get an infection.
And come on, man, that joint is solid. They tapped on it; it was solid. He's good. That's it, right? But that doesn't mean that he's in game shape. Doesn't mean he's got his football legs back under him. We've seen where players come back from IR and then they're just not ready to go in there right away. You know what I'm saying? Look, we even heard a guy who practiced with us throughout. Preseason, a couple of games throughout the week. When Verrett went out there, he was like, I wasn't in game shape. I wasn't ready for it. Jason Verrett said that himself. And he doesn't play in nearly as physical a role, right? He doesn't play nearly as physical a position as what Staley and McGlinchey do. For these guys that have not been playing since week 2, Joe Staley, you can't just say, all right, you're healed, you're solid, go out there and play right now. That's what practice is for. You got to go out there, you got to hit the sledge, you got to get hit, you got to have some contact. They were having walkthroughs and whatnot, and he gets a vet day off. Like, come on, man. You can't expect you to go out there from literally sitting down on your butt for over a month and then just putting on a jersey and going out there against a guy as athletic as Jadeveon Clowney. That's irresponsible by the coaching staff.
But Mike, they had time. They had 9 days after the Thursday game, right? And they had time before that. So
Staley wasn't cleared for the Thursday game. He didn't get cleared until after that game.
No.
I'm not talking about him being cleared for the game. They were practicing. They were cleared to practice, bro. They just didn't play. They just didn't play.
What I'm saying is there was no practice that week.
I'm talking about there was clear.
There was no practice. It was a short week.
No,
he had no practice.
Wayne is saying after the Thursday game.
They were clear. They were cleared. So
yeah, they had the 9 days to prepare.
So not one of them days they hit a sled, bro. Not one of them.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. Listen, when they talk about training camp and they talk about preseason, they talk about developing your callus, right? You have to get back in football shape. It's not something that you can just do in 1 week. And
you're right. You're right, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
So technically, when you get injured and you're off of, and you sustain a long period of time off, you need that training camp time back.
Right.
I'm trying to understand your concept. That's what you're saying. Yeah. It's not like they had like he pulled a groin or something or whatever. He broke a bone, so he needed to heal, and then now he needs to get back into training camp shape, which would make him physically back into game shape. I got what you're saying, but that's a lot of practice.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. So it depends on the position. The trenches in particular, I think you need more for game shape. You have to have endurance. You have to have strength, reflexes, speed. The trenches take a lot more than, for example, a wide receiver. Can you run? Can you cut? Can you catch? Right? There's not that physical aspect to someone. You're not holding up another 250+ pound guy every single snap that's trying to beat your head. It's clubbing. You know what I'm saying?
Just think.
Maybe our wide receivers need to go back to training camp and just focus on the catching part, because right now they ain't got it.
Bro, that's for later. Don't get us worked up now. That's ugly.
Real quick,
going into this Monday night game, Staley and McGlinchey were both technically listed as questionable. So I do kind of agree with Nick now. I do think they were rushed because
but questionable is not probable or doubtful. It's questionable. That's the basic saying that they're gonna play. Whenever you get
fully healthy if they're on the injury report. If they're going into the game on the injury report, they're not healthy.
Man, Cats go on the injury report. Look, Tom Brady been on the injury report since 2001, and he played every week.
Let me explain it like this. So people can understand kind of, and I'll see if this is a good, I guess, way to explain it. But imagine when you go on vacation for a week, right, and you come back to work. If you're a physical labor, right, it's like you struggle your first 2 or 3 days, right?
I can't relate. I'm a teacher. Can't relate.
Right. Well, you can't. But I'm saying people in general who are laborers or things like that, like doing that type of, it's not even football work. Like you're just lifting things and moving things and doing all that. You're out for a week on vacation. You go back. It takes you the first 2, sometimes 3 days to get back. And if you're building homes and roofing and construction and things like that, it's going to take you a while to get back into that shape, right? Because you've just been eating all this stuff. Obviously, we're different than athletes, but we've been eating all this stuff or just hanging or drinking or, just staying up late and things like that. And it runs our body down, right? They play in the NFL and they're out for 6 weeks. It's like a mini vacation for them. They're only doing light work to get their physical injury taken care of. And then it's like you want to go from 0% to 100% because you obviously want 100% playing football, right? Just your ability to move, the endurance, like Mike said, the strength, all those other things. Dude, that's not an easy jump, like even just going to be a roofer. Like you're playing up against another man who's forcing his will that you're trying to protect from onto each other. That's like a 250-pound dumbbell fighting you.
But hold up, Nick. Hold up. So we gotta differentiate the percentages because I think health-wise they were 100%. Now, football-wise,
I'm saying 0 to 100% effort.
But I'm just saying because guys that's been playing, they ain't got 100% effort either. They playing with the maximum percent they could play due to their bodies being beat on every single week. So you got some fresh guys coming in with fresh legs that are status wise. That's what this was. This was a status thing. My all pro tackle Pro Bowl tackles coming back. My number one draft pick is coming back, and I know they could play at some type of maximum level, and that's why they got played. That's why they played, right? Because they knew that they should be able to handle, they should be able to handle this line. And I'm just telling y'all, Clowney had an amazing game, and
he did, but it's still just because he had
But what if Brunskill, right, and School was in there, and they got Worsley manhandled?
We don't know that. We can't. That's a hypothetical. I don't know.
It's hypothetical, but my point is that's what they think. The coaches got to think like. The coaches are thinking, should we go with our best guys or our best group of guys that's been working? I mean, I know everybody want to say if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You as a coach think that you have two. You can call McGlinchey's what's his second year or his third? Second year.
This is McGlinchey's second year.
Yeah, second year. But then you have a 13-year vet, and you think.
But why isn't it? Oh, okay.
You say to you say to these people when people ask how people are doing or things like that, and you're like, you say, not you specifically, but people say, you basically the football shape, right? They talk about the football shape, and it's like you got to get into this shape. But when you talked about these other guys are half beat up and they don't have 100% effort, yeah, but they still have more effort that they're used to doing that, and their body's used to doing that because they've been doing it for 6-7 weeks. Even though we know what we're supposed to do at work, there's times that we falter, right? And we do something, whatever, because yes, our minds and bodies are trained, but you also got to be physically ready for that.
I just think that we got to think a little bit differently, man. Like, I get where you're coming from. You're making perfect 100%. They got beat up. I know it's easy to say because they got beat up that we should have started the other people, but it just sucks that we're saying that because there are starting tackles.
And I'll say this too to piggyback on what Wayne is saying here. Also, maybe they were healthy, maybe they were absolutely fine, right? But they both have been having down seasons all year.
Now we could talk about that.
They've been there. Staley has been looking questionable since week one. And McGlinchey has not been looking much better. So they've been bad. They've been bad. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Now, I'm not saying that the other guys are better, but they held up better. I don't know if it's scheme or what, but they held up better. So
one of you guys might be able to answer this for me, but I know Joe Staley didn't go up against any good defensive tackles or defensive ends this year.
Who was the guy that Joe Staley?
He played in Tampa and Cincy, right?
Tampa don't got no defensive. Cincy got some defensive ends.
Tampa has the sack leader, the dude that left Cleveland,
Shaq Barrett.
Shaq Barrett.
Right, but doesn't he go from McGlinchey's side?
He's kind of an outside linebacker. He alternates.
Okay.
Okay,
so that's who we think.
And then I'm sorry, but even then the Bucks have Jason Pierre-Paul too, and he's actually playing pretty well. So,
but he didn't play when we played him.
Oh, he didn't
play with. Yeah, he was out.
Oh, my bad.
But all I'm trying to ask is Jadeveon Clowney, you can put up with the Myles Garretts and things like that with career-wise, right? And yes, while Shaquem Griffin really is doing good this year, he's not one of those all-pro guys, right?
But he's having an all-pro year, though, Nick.
But that's this year. I'm talking and now, if
Clowney didn't have no all-pro years, you get what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say to you.
All I'm trying to say is we really haven't seen Joe Staley up against the high-caliber guys that Justin Skule went up against this year, Daniel Brunskill went up against this year. So we can't really say, and we've seen Joe Staley struggling week in, week out. And that's not with all guys like, Bradley Chubb. He did play in Detroit with the preseason. Bradley Chubb was destroying Joe Staley, right? But then we're like, okay, it's Bradley Chubb. Well, okay, it's Jadeveon Clowney. Okay, there's nobody else for me to compare it against.
Yeah, but
because he hasn't played.
Never mind. All right,
this is the question I'm going to ask you, right? So I wanted to know who Joe Staley went up against this year. Clowney and we'll say Griffin, right? And we'll say Griffin. And
Mike, who's the dude that played for Cincy? He ain't no punk.
Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson and Sam Hubbard are both really good ends in Cincinnati.
Well, Sam Hubbard's really good. Yeah.
Carl Lawson's good too.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I forgot about Sam Hubbard. Like, he's an Ohio State boy. I don't know how I forgot about him. But
I think I get Nick's point, though. I mean, Staley hasn't really faced any good competition since he's been healthy. And even when he's been healthy, he hasn't looked that good. And I think it's kind of obvious that his regression is coming.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask. Do you think that, like, maybe it's just Joe Staley's not as good as he was before? Maybe
that's possible.
That's all I'm saying. And it is because maybe he was good and maybe the coaches put him in and they didn't rush him back. But he's also a 13-year vet. He's a lot older, so it takes him longer to get into that playing thing. And he could just not have his feet under him. But it takes me back to what I was saying before is since day one, and I think Mike has agreed with me, like I said, is that Joe Staley has not looked like Joe Staley this year. Okay. Right? So maybe it's just time for us as fans to really accept that maybe Joe Staley is on the downward angle of his career. And he did just sign an extension. But then we go and look at Mike McGlinchey, right? Now, Mike McGlinchey's been hurt for less games. And I was going to ask the same question. How many these big type guys that has he gone up against this year? And then we can look back and say, well, he had a really good year last year, but also were we really facing a lot of pressure and shit last year because we had no quarterback? So there wasn't a whole ton of they were respecting the run more. They were respecting than the pass. But they weren't. I mean, I'd like to see how many times we were sacked, but they could literally get to the quarterback last year too. And they're playing the run because they knew we were playing with backup quarterbacks.
That's one thing I want to comment on too is from last season to this season, I honestly don't think Mike McGlinchey's pass protection has improved that much. I think he's still not a good pass protector yet. He's a really dominant run blocker. I do believe he's a fantastic run blocker. He's really good, but I don't think he has the technique and the ability to pass protect well just yet. I think that's one of his biggest weaknesses, and it's really showing. I mean, look at the Seattle game. The Niners couldn't run the ball all night long, so you're relying on Mike McGlinchey to pass protect, and he didn't look awful. And I think Seattle knows that's one of his weakest points of his game. So Mike McGlinchey, in the pass game has not looked as good as we want him to, and I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, and then we'll move on from this, but that was one of the things that I said this year was Mike McGlinchey, like, after the first couple games of me being there and then going back and watching the tape, I'm like, guys, Mike McGlinchey is really struggling this year. And, nobody really took notice to it. But I really think that I've said it on here before. I just really don't think he's having that good of a year this year. And I'm not taking anything away from Jadeveon Clowney because Jadeveon Clowney could have just had a really good day. But you don't beat somebody that bad over and over and over and over and over again in the NFL. It just doesn't happen.
Nick Bosa did it. What are you saying, bro?
Bosa didn't do it on Bosa. Bosa
had a career high game against the Bron. He was killing.
Listen to me.
I'm just saying, like,
well, hold on. Let me just finish to answer your question. You said Bosa did it, right? Well, Bosa did it, right, to one player, right?
Because he lines up on one side.
Exactly. Now, just hear me out. I could understand that if Jadeveon, it's just kind of a coincidence that it was both our tackles that just came back and they both struggled on the same person.
That person is just a different type of athlete, man. He plays both sides. He played outside linebacker in college, and whatever 3-4, 4-3. That's just who he is. I'm not bigging him up. I wish Houston would have kept him, then we wouldn't have had this problem. But they did.
I like to play devil's advocate, right? And if you watch the first quarter, Jimmy Garoppolo and our offense the best quarter of the game that we had. If you guys watch, you'll see that the fullback was moving over to help Staley with Clowney. I'm not saying that that was sustainable for the entire game because obviously it wasn't. But maybe the Niners thought Staley needed some help over there. He would line up in the backfield.
Yeah.
Before the snap, you see Juice going over to help with Clowney in the first quarter. Then when things started changing and Sanders went down and all that, they couldn't continue to do that. So I'm just saying, like, it's.
But what's wrong with that, Mike? What's
there's
wrong with
nothing
that?
wrong with it. What I'm saying is either Staley wasn't up to it, or they were really thinking that Clowney was going to give these guys a run for their money, and they needed to double team them. So
Wouldn't they have ran the same concept if School was playing, or they would have just let School go one-on-one with Joe with what you call it? Because I know when School plays, they always shift the tight end on his side, or they run it like right. So maybe you're right, but I think that's just the concept that we do. Maybe Joe Staley needed the help. Who knows? They won't tell us. And from your perception, it looked like that. And but to me, that's fine because we've been doing it like that. That's something we've been doing consistently, and it worked, right? It was working. Garoppolo was, I don't know if he had that much more time to throw the ball, but clearly he did because he was throwing dimes. And all of a sudden, as soon as the injury happened, it shifted up the offense. We needed to do stuff differently, whatever. So, look, man, look, I know we all agree and just say that the tackles sucked, because I can say that they sucked. They were horrible. They sucked. They struggled. I get it. I don't think they suck. They just struggled that game, and maybe they were rushed back. If that's what we want to call it, I can agree to that. They just struggled, but you have to play them. That's the only way for me. To me, they have to play in order to get back into football shape, because if I'm going with Mike's theory, ain't gonna be that much practice and training that they could do to get back into that shape, because they constantly preparing for the next game. So they gotta play. To me, they gotta play.
Well, yeah, that's the way you get back into shape. That's what we talk about, getting your feet back under you. Like,
Okay.
I understand that, but I think rushed back meaning is like you could have gave them at least, like, which they did. They gave them the 9 days of practice because they didn't rush Joe Staley back Thursday. He could have played, but there was no practice, so he couldn't do any of getting that step going. Okay. Then you wait till your little bye, 9 days or whatever. Then, and maybe it was just, this comment up here, it could have been because of who you were going up against. They didn't want to put the rookies out there. They had two healthy guys. They just weren't in football shape. And that maybe they can fight through it, thinking a 13-year vet can fight through it. But either way, man, whether it was Jadeveon Clowney's play or whether it was the rushing back and from the injuries and not being in football shape, they got owned. No matter what it was, they got owned. And it was a big factor in the game. And, it was a huge factor in the game. Like, we can't even say that it was, a big factor. It was a huge factor. And either way, we struggled. And if they come out struggling again like this, well, McGlinchey comes out struggling like again this week because Joe Staley's not playing, so obviously we're going to have somebody else in there. But, if School's not hurt, he'll be out there. And I have complete faith in what they can do. And I probably have more faith in them at this point right now than I do in Staley and McGlinchey. And who knows what Staley could have broke his finger midway through and was just getting destroyed even more. We don't know when it happened. It could have happened the first, second play of the game, and he just couldn't do anything with it. Yeah, we really don't know. And we all know that Mike McGlinchey has been struggling all year. Maybe not as bad as Joe Staley. Joe Staley's been struggling, but probably not as bad as McGlinchey. But
I said in the first half, I don't know if you guys remember, I said in the group, why is Staley hanging his arm down? And I remember I was like, he didn't even try to use his right hand to block him just then.
It could have been broke.
That was early in the game. That's a really good point. All right, I'm done. I got nothing else.
That's a great point. I because we didn't know he broke his fingers until
you didn't even know he was injured. He never came out of the game.
Yeah.
Last little point though, I just want a yes or no question. If School comes in for the next couple of weeks and picks up from where he left off and looks really good, and Staley comes back and looks bad, do you guys think there's a tackle controversy? Yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There is, but it depends because it depends on. Joe Staley's not making a ton of money.
Yeah,
I don't think his contract was that big, Mike. To be honest with you, I think it was just an extension, and it wasn't that much more money. It was just a matter of years. But even in that case, like, you may still keep Staley and keep whatchamacallit just growing. Even though there is a tackle battle.
$14 million a year, bro. 2 years, $28 million.
He's making $14 million a year. Yeah, but it's.
But
is that counting this contract?
Yeah, I'm talking about the extension he signed. It was 2 years for 20.
So that's what I'm talking about. But is that counting this year too?
Yes.
Because he technically has a 3-year deal.
Oh,
It's technically a 3-year deal. He has 2 years left.
right. It says his contract.
Well,
was
he has 3 years left, but it was
Because
an
he got
extension, so
extended.
this is the
He got
third year, so it was a 2-year extension, but because this was his last year on contract, right? So they gave him the 2-year extension. So that's why I'm asking: is that contract based in as the extension? Did they make it a 3-year deal with this year and change the amount of money, or did they just put it all on the 2-year deal?
His cap hit this year is $14.7 million.
Okay, so what is it next year? That's what I need to know.
Cap hit next year is 11.75.
So what's he making next year?
And then it's 12.5 the year after that.
Okay.
But what's his guaranteed money?
His base salary is 10.5. His signing bonus is another 0.5. His roster is another 0.5. So he's already up to 11.5 million. His workout bonus is 200,000. He's got a dead cap hit. Now here's what's interesting: of only $1 million.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I think he was making more
Until they extended
this
him.
year, and then next year is lower than what he's making this year.
Yeah,
and it's
you're
by
right.
like $3 million. Yeah, because it was just an extension. So that's why I'm saying like they just added 2 years, but they upped his money this year from 11 to 14 and a half, whatever it was. And then next year is only 11 and a half, 12 and a half with a low dead cap hit. Because I think it's guaranteed money. But either way, I mean, it's still going to cause a tackle controversy.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to cause a tackle controversy. But all right, so we talked about injuries and who the most Mike, you gave your answer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went first.
No, I went last, and I couldn't concentrate because of the Brady Bunch thing happened. I just said the center, Weston Richburg, even though he came back.
Right now we talking about the downs of the game. The
Right,
negatives.
yeah. But I'm saying we just went through which person do we think hurts us the most as an injured player. So let's talk about this game, and let's talk about the bad thing. What do you think? I'll ask you this: what do you guys think was the worst thing that happened in the game, and what? And I want to know why you think it was the worst thing that happened. Obviously, the missed field goal, right? Let's keep that out because that's obvious. So let's think about the game and think about a change, a play or something that could have happened or didn't happen, offensively or defensively, that could have changed this game and the way that it was going.
You go first, Anthony.
I'm gonna just say it now, dude. Raheem Mostert was over for a first down. He was literally over for a first down. You watch the video and you see his body push forward over the yellow line on the TV for a first down.
Hold your thought. That's not what made me mad. What made me mad was the one judge said yes and the other judge said no.
They were like this.
That's what made me mad.
They were both on different sides. That was awful.
On spots. Like one was on the offensive side over the line, and one was over the defensive side of the line.
That's what pissed me off, Anthony. Go ahead.
I digress though because that's such a scapegoat answer. So I will say, Kyle Shanahan's attempt to go for it on fourth down, and I think it was 4th and 1, the only fourth down attempt that we had. And I think what was the range? It was a 46-yard field goal. It would have been in the mid 40s, I think. Right?
Yeah, it was 40. It was a
47. 47.
Yeah, it would have been 47. And I think that was one of the more underrated things of the game as we were watching, that you didn't think of it as going both ways at the moment, but you also thought, well, I know you don't trust the kicker, but also going for the field goal feels like the safe thing to do. And I know on that play, I think it was Deebo Samuel looked like he ran the wrong route. And that's been happening a lot with him this season. I know it seems like he has miscommunication, but I don't know if I like that play call, you guys. I really felt like, Shanahan's a fantastic play caller. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like something better could have been dialed up because that looked like a Deebo out route. It looked like a simple out route, and Deebo just ran the wrong route and Garoppolo mistimed it. So
which play are we talking about? Because
this was the 4th and 1. It was the one where they could have kicked the field goal. Remember,
this was the game. That's the game-winning one.
No, that was in regular time.
No, this was in regular time. I think it was in the second quarter.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we got stuffed and we turned it over on downs.
Yeah. I'm just saying though, I didn't like that play call. I thought I thought with Shanahan, who is such a good play caller, I just felt like he could have dialed up something better than just a Debo out route because it looked like an in out. So I don't know. Obviously in hindsight, you can say that's a bad play, and I do think it's a bad play, but I just really felt like something better could have been called instead of that specifically. I don't know. I know the whole game, a lot of people were questioning Kyle's play calling, so it was almost a trend for the whole game.
I think the play calling changed once Sanders got hurt, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think you're saying that it didn't, Mike, but I think his play calling went from double sided to let me just cut out some of these scripts because he had to. Bourne became the new Sanders, right? And Debo still did what his plays were called to do, and then you had to try to get Pettis involved. We totally stopped going with Goodwin because Goodwin just wasn't predicted. I mean, they had to put Goodwin on freaking punt team to try to get him active to do something. There was a 3rd and 16. This was after the Armstead fake sack that we got, and I felt like that was one of those you could. I thought in the Super Bowl with Eli Manning, then if that was a sack, then that should have been a sack too. It was the same play, but luckily we got the sack call. And we gave up that 3rd and 16, man, to TJ Lockett's replacement, and that pissed me off. I mean, I put that on Twitter. If you want to know what made me be mad, it was that. I felt like that was the second time we had like a 3rd and long, and the first time we blew the calls when Sela called some crazy looking scheme thing, and we were like, "What the heck is this?" And we gave up like a 3rd and 20 or something. Well, on this one we gave up a 3rd and 16.
Yeah, we got a sack before that.
Right, I'm saying that was the Armstead sack, but he didn't really bring him down to the ground and called the play dead, and that's what made it 3rd and 16. But I'm saying the play after that, it was 3rd.
Oh yeah, it was right at the sticks where he caught it. Like he caught it right before the sticks and then still got to the sticks.
I was just like, oh man, I don't know who was on that coverage, but if we could have just not gave up that first down.
It was Emmanuel Mosley, I believe.
Don't tell me that. He has such a good game. All right.
I'll look it up right now and I'll tell you exactly who it was. But Mike, what do you think? What was one play that you thought that could have went one way or another, offensively or defensively?
I think the biggest play, the biggest emotional swing was when Russell made that long scramble and they just missed the call on that play. It was a long 3rd and
yes.
Well, I can't remember what the down.
D Ford was getting held hella bad. Nick told me it was D Ford.
They damn near tackled him. Like, I mean, he spun all the way around and he had an arm across his chest while he's trying to turn and get Russell Wilson. And he ran for, I can't remember if it was 3rd and 12, 3rd and 16, something like that. And he had the long run up the right side. Ford was held so bad. And normally, when you see a quarterback just break free like that and no one's near him, the refs know, all right, there's a hole here. Someone was holding somebody. This team is not undisciplined enough for something like that to happen. We are too good of a defense for that to have just gone out there like that. And there was just no call at all. And that happened not super early, but it was early enough in the game where that was a tone changer. That was a mood changer. Their offense, their first quarter, they had 5 yards of total offense. 5 total yards of offense. Okay? That's a game changer. You suddenly let them start believing in that little short guy back there, and then things start happening. And so that's the kind of play that really annoyed me. And I just want to say really quick, I wasn't saying that Shanahan's play calling didn't change when Sanders went down, but it was more about the why. I think in addition to Sanders going down, that's the same time where he was realizing our offensive line ain't holding up for Jimmy. I'm not saying that it wasn't. It's both can be right in that situation. It could be when and it could be because at the same time. So I just wanted to make that clear. I was just thinking on is that why? But I think that even if Sanders stayed in there, the play calling was going to have to change because that offensive line was getting handled. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
That's interesting. I kind of agree with you there with both being both because but to touch on what I think is, I don't want to say the play calling because you just kind of talked about that, but I want to talk about the first drive. Now, obviously, we were helped with penalties and things like that, and I believe it was the first drive or second. No, it was the first drive. It was the first drive. It was the first drive where we had the first down, and this was the one where Kendrick Bourne was on the 5-yard line for the catch. He drops the ball, which would have gave us a first down, and I believe that instead of getting 3 out of that, we would have got 7, and we could have been up 14-0 instead of 10-0, which would have been a big difference as well, because we allowed them to say, okay, well, we held them to a field goal, and then we went up 10-0, and it was like, okay, they got a defensive touchdown, right? So now then it's 14-7. You still got a big lead, and then when they come and score again, they're not taking the lead, they're tying. And we could have easily scored again on a couple other plays. But that play right there for me is a 3rd and 5 to put us at the 5-yard line. Instead, we have to settle for a field goal, and we go up 3-0 instead of 7-0.
What the hell is Oil Beer talking about? When have I not? When am I disagreeing with you, Nick? Shut up. Anyway, yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. That drive was not being able to get a touchdown out of that drive was crazy. And then we went just stagnant. We had so many opportunities to score 7 threes. I will say that our team played really good discipline. Weren't many penalties called on us in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there were many penalties called. And there's many moments that I want to talk about. We could rotate like 4 times, but of course we got to talk about the wide receiver drops, because that's what everybody's talking about over here if you read these comments. And those I don't know if they were game changers, but those were definitely like mood swingers. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to get on Kendrick Bourne, because he also did right. He also had positive stuff. It would have been cool if he was just all negative like some of the receivers in the game. But he did have a touchdown. He did have a 2-point conversion. He did convert a first down. I don't know what his issue is. Go ahead, Mike.
Just let you finish. I just want to say the problem with Bourne this game was that he had the same amount of positive plays as bad plays. And as a wide receiver, you would like the positive to outweigh the bad. You can deal with a couple of bad plays if you have a lot of positive plays, but it was literally dead even. So you can go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Wait, Nick, he had 3 positives and 2 negatives. He had 2 drops. 2 drops. He had how many catches did he have?
He had 4.
Okay, so 2 drops. 1 was an interception, so that could equal 3 if you want. I still think the positives,
but it's really not, because the negative turned into a worse. You gave up a touchdown,
but he scored a touchdown, so that's
hold on. Okay,
that should nullify itself.
But then the drop ball that would have put us at an end zone that could have been a touchdown was another big drop.
We don't know if that would have been a touchdown, Nick. We don't know. We can't speak into existence. Oh, he caught that. It would have been a touchdown because we don't know. They might have tackled him on the 1. And then what? I'm just saying, the 1 interception tip, yeah, that was messed up. The second drop, dude was just trying to see. I watched it 5 times. It looked like he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna catch it, but who gonna hit me?" That's what he. I felt like Bourne sucks in space. I felt like if he's man on man, he Gucci. He could out physical the guy. But when he's in space and he knows somebody gonna come at him, he gets scared. And he don't catch the ball first. He trying to catch it and move to not get hit, to like wiggle his way around.
And I agree with you. But there's one thing that really, 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 really ticked me off. And that was the drop ball where he literally sat there and stood and watched the guy almost intercept it. Instead of trying to go for it and break up the play, he literally just stood there like.
That's the one you're talking about. That's the one you're talking about. I got you.
That's why it aggravates me even more. Like, it was almost an interception. Like, you let the ball go off your hands. You watch it going into you just stand there. You stop where you're at. Like, oh, shit, I dropped it.
Understood.
And then watch like it's in slow-mo.
Understood.
That, like, made me mad because as a receiver, go.
You become the defensive player at that point.
Try to protect it. Get it on the ground. We're lucky that guy dropped that ball.
You're right. You're right. He should have became a defensive player at that point and laid the pipe crack down on that dude. You're right. You're absolutely right. I get it.
But he wasn't the only. I mean, he wasn't the only.
Nah, listen, Bourne gets the blunt of our talks because it's like a weird relationship we got with Bourne in our group, y'all. So y'all don't understand, like it's like 50-50. And then everybody, once Bourne do good, some of us be like, see? And then once Bourne do bad, some of us be like, see? So they gotta understand where we coming from with the Bourne thing. But let's go terrify somebody. Let's go terrify the other receivers. Who else you got?
Well, I mean, you had Bourne with 2 drops or 3 drops? 2 drops.
He had 2 drops.
And Pettis with 2 drops. Goodwin with 3 drops. And Debo with 3 drops.
Did Juice have a drop?
Juice had a drop. Yeah, but we're talking about receivers, though. I wasn't putting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm just saying we're going over receivers. So, and then Debo with 3. The difference with Debo is go ahead.
Debo had 3. Debo had 3 drops.
Yeah, 3, I believe.
Oh, snap. I know he had that one where he could have caught it in space and probably scored. Like it was wide open in a slant.
The slant.
Yeah. Are you talking
first down marker?
Do we count the one that Jimmy threw and it got broken up by Griffin? Is that a drop? No, right?
He didn't touch it.
Okay.
I'm talking about physical.
Okay.
Like,
all right, listen, wait. Let's do this the right way. There's a drop that we call a drop with our eyes, and there's a drop that's statistically a drop. There's
okay.
2 completely different things. If a receiver gets his hands on the ball and he gets hit and that ball gets knocked loose, statistically it's a PBU. It is not a drop.
That's why I'm at.
We have to discern between the two when we're having these conversations because it's going to make a big difference in these numbers that we're throwing out.
That's why I'm asking. And I thought from our eyes as a team we had 9 drops, but then when the PFF report come out we have 5 drops. So that's why I'm just asking. I'm not taking away from nothing y'all saying, bro.
Right. No, I mean, I'm considering a drop to where, like that long pass to Bourne or to Debo, I don't know what they considered that because it kind of went through both hands. Like it was blocked and like thrown down and went through Debo's hands. So I don't know how they're counting that, if they're counting that a drop. I'm not counting it as drop. It was an underthrown ball. The defender made a good play on it. The one across the middle
actually has Debo Samuel down as 1 drop for the game. He only had 1 drop, and that was probably on the slant.
Really?
That's what I thought.
That's what PFF has him down.
Yeah, PFF only has him as 1 drop.
Interesting. So, but it was that was a big drop too.
Yeah,
in my eyes. I mean, it was a big drop.
That was a huge drop. It was just
on 3rd down.
Big as the Bourne drops. Mm-hmm.
Keep the play going. It just seemed like all of the drops that we had came down on crucial downs. The one to Pettis.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right, so I just watched the video. I got the official count. The following players had 2 drops: Bourne, Pettis, and Goodwin.
Okay, Goodwin had 2 drops.
Only had 1, and then Juszczyk had 1.
Okay, so what was that on?
I'm looking at the official. I can't put it up here, but it's if you guys go to JL Chapman's timeline, he got the official drop and spliced them all together in one video. It's a minute-long video, so I just counted them up there.
Okay, so 2 to
Pettis, 2 to Goodwin, 2 to Bourne, 1 to Samuel, and 1 to Juice.
Okay. So the one with Debo was the one going across the middle. Yeah, which was a 3rd and 11, I think it was.
Yeah, but he had a 1st down.
Oh, he easily had the 1st down. And then Goodwin's was the one. I can only remember the one that was real high. He jumped up, tried to make it. He didn't make it. Oh, and then the other one that was in the middle. But to me, that was more of a breakup than anything because the defender was right there on top of him. So to me, that one I don't really count against Goodwin as a miss. The one where he went up and tried to catch it with both his arms and it just went through his hands, I count as a drop there. Mike, can you see what the other second one was that he's considering on that drop?
The second one for who? Goodwin?
For Goodwin. Because like I said, I only remember the one in the middle with a defender right on him that to me looked like a PBU.
Right, but I don't know if the defender had anything to do with it. I think that one just dropped it. That's the very first one in the video, and the second one's when it's like over his head.
Goodwin had a drop in the beginning on the first drive.
Right, that's the one that Nick is talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about the one where he kind of like was sliding, like coming across the middle, and the defender was like
right over him. The guy was right over him. I know exactly what you're talking about. But if the defender didn't have an effect on whether that ball was caught or not, so we've seen guys catch the ball and then someone's on their back, they just roll over and fall down, right? If the guy doesn't knock the ball away or anything like that, or affect him catching the ball, then it's a drop. That's what I'm saying. But if a guy like gets hit and the ball comes out after,
right. But that's what I'm saying. The defender was so close on that angle. I don't know if the defender put a hand in there, knocked it out or not. Like from the angle, I didn't watch the coach's film yet, so I don't know.
I don't know what you want me to say.
No, I was asking you if you could see it in the video.
So I'm saying the video is from the back, the
right
angle.
Right. So that's what I was saying. I wonder if they counted that as a drop. That's what I'm saying. Or if there was another one, because the only one I consider a drop there, from what I seen, unless digging into it, was the one with the two hands in the air drop. And then the Pettis one was huge because that was a third down on the sideline.
Was that a drop, or was that him dropping it caused because of the hit in the back? That's why I don't be understanding these joints. I felt like he should caught it. He caught it.
Yeah, but to me,
bring it down to the ground.
Right, to me, he was bringing in the tuck and got hit and dropped the ball. Like didn't maintain possession.
That's what I thought. But I don't know if they calling that a drop.
Mike, go ahead. I see you shaking your head.
I'm looking at this. Jimmy was slinging that thing, man. Y'all
I'm trying to tell
y'all was trying to kill my quarterback. And
hold on.
Game, bro.
I'm trying to tell you, bro.
If y'all remember me on the overreaction show, on the way home, I told y'all stop blaming it all on Jimmy because a lot of it wasn't his fault.
Y'all
were literally going in on Jimmy and the receivers.
No, we wasn't going in on Jimmy. What you talking about, Nick? We didn't say nothing about Jimmy. No. We said sign Antonio Brown. Do I need to bring that back up?
No, I'm talking about earlier in the show. When I was still in my car, y'all were talking about Jimmy didn't have a good game.
No, we did not. What we said Jimmy outplayed Russell Wilson. The only thing he had was one extra sack, bro. One extra fumble.
Listen to me. You guys weren't on here bashing him, saying the receivers couldn't catch everything because wasn't throwing to a spot. He was just throwing to a person. He was throwing here and he's throwing there and he's throwing away.
That's not what I was saying.
We were talking about the difference of Jimmy throwing the ball to Sanders, which is to a location, and Sanders meets the ball there, versus when he throws to other receivers, he has to throw it directly to them. We weren't talking about they were bad throws. We were saying the difference.
But in those terms, you were saying that the receivers were having trouble catching the football when they're thrown directly to them because they were high, they were out. They weren't right to him.
You can't interpret what we were saying for something that we weren't saying. That's not what we were saying.
Look,
talking about the difference between the deliveries.
Right. And that's why, and we were talking about why Jimmy couldn't trust the receivers. All right. And that's what it is, right? If Jimmy likes to throw to a space with Sanders, like Anthony Perry said earlier, like there's like the fact that Sanders came in on this team and like immediately made this offense better. It's because Jimmy might be used to throwing to a space, opposed to always having to throw the ball right to a receiver's hands, which can cause what? An interception, pass breakup, easy tackle, fumble, all that stuff. If you look at one of Pettis' misses, right? And I'm arguing with this dude on Twitter all day because he's not making no sense. Pettis runs the route and doesn't get off the route. But Jimmy throws the ball, so it looks like the ball is far away from Pettis. But if you look where Jimmy threw the ball, it's in between the linebacker and the quarterback. There's only one person that could have caught that ball. I'm not yelling at you. There's only one person that could have caught that ball, Dante Pettis. And had he ran and got off of his corner, off of his route, got off of his coverage to get to that spot, it would have been a catch. He could have hit the X button. Real simple.
Right. And I agree with you on that, all of that. But when I came in, all I'm saying is when I came in and I was giving receivers shit, Tony specifically, I believe it was, said, but that's not all the receivers' fault because Jimmy has to throw to them instead of throwing to a spot.
All right.
But it's here or there. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just I'm just saying that a lot of people, not just you, whatever, people were putting a lot on Jimmy this weekend and saying that Jimmy had a big game.
You're right. And that's not just because of that's from everybody. That's because of the media. That's because of everything. Oh, Jimmy's always gonna have if Jimmy don't throw for 8 touchdowns and 900 yards a week, he's always gonna look at us as a shadow of whoever, and he's not an elite quarterback. So you gotta take into consideration what's being fed to them. And if they go back and just watch the highlight reel, there's a highlight reel, and it's not a 49ers highlight reel. It's a highlight reel of the best things that happened in the game. And like condensed, it's like all the scoring drives. If they just go back and watch this, they'll be like, damn, Jimmy was pretty good in this game. It's just that he fumbled twice. Right, he threw an interception. He should have threw like 4 more interceptions. Trying to get the balls to spots. It just looked. There were things that looked bad.
But that's what I was going to ask you. Did he really throw it to a wrong spot, or did Ross Dwelly? We heard them talking about this on what is their podcast called? Press coverage. What's Crocs and forget the name of it.
Something in 9.
Striking Gold.
Striking Gold, that's it.
Striking Gold, yeah.
Striking Gold, you heard them talking about. Was it really Jimmy's fault when he threw that route? Or was it, I think they were talking about it, or it might have been on TV. Either way, was Ross Dwelly supposed to go in front of the linebacker?
Yeah, that was them.
To take it deeper and go behind him. He took it the deeper route.
And Jimmy threw a shorter. And that was the interception to KJ Wright. Yeah.
Right, the one that went to KJ Wright.
That they called back.
They called back, but on that play, it looked like he threw directly to KJ Wright. But was he supposed to go deeper?
And that was
cut the linebacker off and go underneath.
And that was what if that's what Crocker was talking about, the young guys. He gave his experience when he was with the Jets, blah 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 blah, and the veterans like I forgot who, Braylon Edwards and them dudes. They didn't need index cards and cheat sheets because they knew the plays, they knew where to go, they knew this. We got a bunch of young guys. Even Kittle's young. Kittle just plays different. He just has a different skill set. Whereas, Kendrick Bourne, this is his 3rd year. He still ain't got it all. And this is probably why. Debo, he's gonna. You said that he might have ran the wrong route, Perry. He probably did. They're young and they're going to run wrong plays. And Jimmy is supposed to throw stuff to certain areas. Next thing you know, linebackers are there to pick the ball off. It's pick 6. It's a learning process. We're still in a learning processing phase at 8-1. That's a good thing, and it could be a bad thing, but that's a good thing because our guys are still growing. Here's what overall, if we were to wrap this whole thing up, we played decent enough that we could have won this game. We should have played better. We could have played better, but we didn't. And had our receivers been a little bit better, had our offensive line been a little bit better, even with the injuries, even with Kittle not playing, even with Sanders going out, Jimmy smack, even with Sanders going out, even with Richburg going out, that changed up stuff too. What happened when Richburg went out, Nick and Perry and Mike? What happened? What happened on the 3rd play when which caller was in that game? Who fumbled the ball?
Jimmy.
Yeah, right. They just same way DJ Jones went up the middle, their guy went up the middle. Bam, ball comes out. Who picks it up, runs it in for a touchdown? Because he just happened to be there because Staley just couldn't sustain a block for 5 or 7 seconds. He couldn't hold. So that's what happened. And it just sucked.
I want to hear what Jimmy has to say about Jimmy. He had it right perfectly with his face and his hair. So I said I want to hear what Jimmy has to say about Jimmy.
But does my Jimmy got the beard? Yes, it does.
Mike,
just want to make sure my Jimmy's still in the pack.
Pause. A lot of the errors that happen in the game. Anytime there's a drop, that means that there's 2 people involved, the quarterback as well as the wide receiver, and I've got to deliver the ball better. It's a team effort out here. These guys are out there; they were playing hard for us, and we just got to get back to the drawing board. We have to get back to it.
True leader. Look at that.
This is
Somebody asked, how can Sanders play better with only 1 week of practice or so than the wide receivers? Because Sanders just has experience. Sanders has been in the league for umpteen years, not in teen years, but he's been in the league for a while, and he's just probably a better route runner than the receivers on our team. He might not understand the plays, he understands the concept of the plays, and he knows if Jimmy said, "Yo, I need you to get to this spot, the ball's going to be there." That's trust, and that's why he plays better.
I just think
real quick, just because I've been so quiet on this. I think the whole problem that a lot of people take into what's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo is everyone is treating him like he's played 5 or 6 seasons. Like he's supposed to be making these throws and he's supposed to be making these plays. The dude has hardly even played in 25 or 30 games. The guy is still practically a rookie. He's played as many games as Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, for Christ's sake. The guy
I think they actually have more.
Exactly. And so,
he has more wins.
You know,
he has more wins. Yeah.
Anthony, you know what it is, bud? You know what it is with that whole concept, though, is because of what he's getting paid. That's the whole reason why everybody holds him to that standard.
Yeah, and who he sat behind, I mean, he sat behind Tom Brady, so he's going to be held to this high expectation. But in reality, this dude is honestly still learning Kyle Shanahan's playbook. He finally had a full season to grasp it. I mean, last season he got hurt. The season before it was only vanilla. So this guy's going to this game still trying to learn and understand and expect what's going to happen. So when he's throwing to spots where he expects his wide receivers to be, I honestly think that's just part of the game plan, and that's part of the whole play. So it's hard to knock Jimmy Garoppolo when his wide receivers aren't getting the job done. But I think it's also easy to knock Jimmy Garoppolo when he's throwing to a spot and not throwing to his guy. So, it's almost a two-way street, but
it is.
Exactly. I mean, Garoppolo still has a lot to learn. He still has a lot to go through. And the fact that even with everything going on around him, he still kept the team in the game. I know he fumbled and I know he threw a pick, but that was it. He still gave the team every chance to win, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, everyone is always going to blame the quarterback. At the end of the day, it's always going to be Jimmy Garoppolo's fault, no matter what people say.
Well, and that's because he controls the offense. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. But you look at the fine lines between it, and it's like not everything is on Garoppolo. So, the offense lost the game, in my opinion. It wasn't just on Jimmy G. It was the entire offense, man.
Well, I want to ask Mike this question real quick. Mike, you're talking about saying he was dealing out there and stuff like that, and I want to so we're talking about everybody going off on Jimmy and giving him a lot of shit. Excuse me, sorry, poop. And what would his numbers have been without the drops? Because I know, what was he like, 20? Was he 24?
Yeah. Anthony was getting to it, and I thought he was going to get on it, man. He finished the game 24 of 46, right? And those numbers don't look good. That was including 9 drops. That's what they count as drops. That's not broken up passes. But let's just count the drops. That leaves Jimmy Garoppolo 33 for 46, right? One of those could have been a touchdown. They were all big gains. If you look at that video that JL Chapman posted on his timeline, each one of those passes were at least 10 yards down the field. At least. Right? So you add those 9, he's got another 90 yards. Now he's over 300 yards. He's probably got another touchdown in there. This game is completely different. Jimmy was dealing out there, bro. He was dealing, and that was with a lot of pressure on him the entire game. People want to talk about, Jimmy Garoppolo's out doing this. The Niners are winning. They're doing it despite Jimmy Garoppolo and all that. No, wrong. You're wrong. They're doing it with Jimmy Garoppolo, doing what the team is asking him to do. The 49ers run game has struggled these last 2 games, and Jimmy has stepped his game up. He stepped it up. He can't make these guys catch the ball. He can't make Kyle Juszczyk catch the ball or Pettis or Goodwin or any of that stuff. He can only do what he's asked to do. He can't make the offensive lineman block. All right, I heard this stupid guy on ESPN say Jimmy Garoppolo looked like the one-year player that he really is, but Russell Wilson looked like the real deal, and he looked like the league MVP. Did you watch the game?
They would not have talked about him being an MVP if they didn't win. If we make that field goal,
that's the truth, Nick.
You're 100% like you're 100% truth on all that. And I mean, we talked about it on the after show. Like, I really didn't think Jimmy had, like, what was he supposed to do under pressure? The throws that he did make that would have bailed him out, the receivers dropped, and he got it into a specific point. Even Wayne, let me ask you this. Since you watched the game, before you were saying how, and I was with you on this, why didn't we run the football on those 3 downs, right? Why did we waste 25 seconds on those 3 downs, right?
Yeah.
And run and take a little bit more time off the clock to not allow them to have so much time back. So here's my question to you. Since watching the game again, has your thought changed on that at all? And the reason I want to ask you is because on 2 of those passes, they were tipped on the way. And if they weren't tipped at all,
those were
it would have been
catches.
completions.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have been downfield on those 3. So there's 2 plays out of the 4 that we didn't run. And I was with you. I was like, why didn't we run a play? Like I was talking to you about the overreaction show. Why didn't we run the football? Why didn't we run the football?
Yeah.
Well, I still could understand with running one play, like a first down, but the play that he drew up was a 10 or 11-yard gain, if that, and it literally just got tipped. So
okay. All right. So I did rewatch it, and I do see where you're coming from. But my mindset is to outsmart the coordinator, outsmart the defensive coordinator. I think us being down, they knew we were going to pass. So that made it harder to complete the pass. Now Garoppolo was doing what he was told to do. He was told to pass the ball. But I would have looked at the defense, man, and at some point he has to become that game coach. You know what? I got this. I see something different in the defense. Yo, let's flip this and run it. Let's at some point I'm waiting for Garoppolo. Maybe it's gonna take him 2 or 3 years to get that confidence or build that up. I don't know. He's young at quarterbacking. I do agree with that 100%. I think I would have did those play calls that he did in a different order. I love the calls. I just would have did them in a different order, and I would have threw a run in there. I would have did that deep pass to Debo on the first down. That would allow to stretch this defense up maybe a little bit. Oh, maybe they're going to pass again. Let's play coverage. I would have ran on second down. I wasn't doing it just to try to run out the clock. I was doing it to try to sustain us the drive to get us closer to kick a closer field goal. I would have ran on that second down. Hopefully, Mostert would have broken, got us a 3 to 7 yard carry. That's all you're looking for, right? And then on the third down, it's a much shorter completion for Jimmy Garoppolo to maybe set up in the shotgun, read the defense, call a hot route, get a first down, boom. That is the play calling I was hoping would have happened.
And I totally agree with you, but
if those balls weren't tipped, they should have been catches.
No. I'm not going to say that. But even if we got closer, we would have had to get to like the 1 yard line for that field goal to be good.
You can't throw Nick. I can't have you, Nick. Shade. If you the shade cat, yo, you the shade king, cuz.
But I'm saying, right? How far the ball was kicked to the left, we would have needed to be on like the 1 yard line.
I want every 49er fan to go back and watch that hold on that kick and slow it down and tell me if that ball wasn't played.
I'm not saying anything bad about the kick or the snap. It should have been made. But I'm saying the way that he did kick it, we would have had to be.
Yeah.
You know?
That wouldn't even win in on the one. That junk was all the way to the left.
Yeah, somebody sent
to the left.
Somebody sent me a picture of Madden with the thing pointing at the tunnel. Like 1,000-mile-an-hour winds.
Who the hell posted the picture of the ball going into the tunnel? What 49er fan would do that, yo? What 49er fan would post
Yep. And whatchamacall was standing right there too, DJ Jones.
Yeah, that was so grimy, man. Let's
move on because obviously we got a lot of positives to hit here. And but to touch on your thing about Jimmy Garoppolo and receivers real quick before we move on is receivers also make their quarterbacks get confidence, more confidence, and make them better quarterbacks. And we haven't had that yet. We really and we see it with George Kittle, we see it with Emmanuel Sanders, and those become reads because he, like you said, he gains trust in them. And when receivers don't catch the football, it kind of takes confidence away from the quarterback because he can't complete things, and it makes him look bad. You want to make each other look good, but I agree. But Mike, I know you're filled with some positives over there, man. You can't stop dancing and trying to put all that attention over there while people talk. But what do you think? What's your thoughts here?
Ain't nothing but a gangster party. And let me tell you, man, this defense is top notch, bro, and ain't nothing anybody can do to stop us. I don't care if it's Russell Wilson, bring on Baltimore, bring on the Saints, bring on the Packers. This defense is for real. We haven't talked about the defense at all. We haven't talked about it at all. Kyle Shanahan's play calling is just fine. Jimmy Garoppolo is just fine. We're going to get some work done on the offensive line. We're going to be all right. The team is going to be fine, man. But this defense is legit. I can't tell you guys how many times I saw a play and then somebody was like, oh, that's it. Game's over. Game's over. Bro, chill. You got to watch this defense play, man. They get after quarterbacks. They cause turnovers. This is not the defense that we've been watching the last 3 or 4 years. This is a different defense right here, man. So I'm hype over here, man. It's we good, bro. We good.
Bro, was driving me nuts.
Can we break it down to like everybody pick their favorite defensive play? And can I go first for the first time ever? Please. Pretty please. Can somebody high-five me in? No? I can do it myself. All right, check this out. My favorite defensive play was when they ran DK Metcalf all the way down to the 1 yard line. And how was it Tart? And he got his body back into the position to not be the first. I don't know what the call was going to be. All I know is he stripped the ball and we got the ball back and we kept the Seahawks from scoring in the first half. And we kept our streak alive. You cannot tell me that this defense, that is not all about the D. It's all about the D with this team. This D is so strong that ain't nobody seeing it. Nope, bring on Baltimore. I'm going to piggyback off Mike. Bring on the Saints. Matter of fact, we'll go to the Saints. Bring on the Packers. We'll go to Baltimore. We go to Seattle. And Rams coming to us. I'm telling you, this defense right here is super strong, yo. They are super strong. They don't quit, man. They don't quit. And that's why we stay in games. Nick, bring me back to week 3, Nick. How many turnovers we have, Nick? How many turnovers we have? What did you say to me, Nick? What did you say to Mike?
I thought 6 points. We're still gonna win this game.
I thought you and Mike was gonna fight because I ain't know y'all like I know y'all now. Yo, you told Mike, shut the beep up. We are in this game. Mike, like, all right, I'm gonna be quiet. But if we lose, I'm gonna punch you in the face. That's what he was saying to you. Yo, we won that game with 5 turnovers on the offense because the defense, even after Jason Verrett blew his coverage because he wasn't in football shape, even after he blew his coverage, they turned up and got this win. This defense is resilient. It allows our offense to be great. The defense just got to play. If we all 3 phases, I'm just sorry. We're talking about the defense. The D is long. The D is strong. Let's go.
Oh my God. Here we go. Mike, what was your favorite play?
No pause.
No, I don't even have just one favorite play, man. I got, oh my god, I don't know, man. I like watching Quan Williams play. He was all over the field. This dude was effective like a mug. I blacked out on one of the plays. I literally put a hole in my wall because I blacked out during the strip sack fumble touchdown. Bro. I was just. It was a big play. Buckner was in the end zone, and I got up. I was laying on my back, and I was screaming still. Like, it was the defense was really, really good. So that's all I got, man. I want to know what Perry's favorite. Like, give me some positives over there, Perry. You too quiet, and I saw you getting hype over there. I saw you when I started talking about our quarterback. You was turning up over there a little bit, so I know you got something positive to say, man. I want to know how you feeling over there. What's up, man? Oh wait, never mind. No, go ahead, go. I got you.
Ironically, you guys are lucky we moved on from the quarterback thing because I was going to talk about how upset I got when I found out today that Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright were picking up on Jimmy G's checks. They were picking up on those calls, and I couldn't believe that. I'm thinking, like, here we have one of the best play callers in the game. Here we have one of the better quarterbacks in the game, and we have obviously 2 all-pro linebackers, but they're able to pick up on Jimmy G's checks. And it made me think, like, well, how much differently could the offense have gone if they knew what his checks were? But I digress. I don't want to go into that. Bro, when Jermaine Ifedi got Russell Wilson's fumble and he was just standing there like this with the ball, and Fred Warner comes his ass flying in, and you see, douche, and he punches the ball out, I was like, I was laughing so hard. And I mean, all due respect, if I said this to Ifedi, he'd smack my ass to the moon. But bro, when he got that ball and he's just standing there like, bro, I don't know what the fuck to do. Oh, I'm so sorry. What the F to do? Warner came in and hit that ball out. Buckner brought it in for a score. When that happened, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I couldn't believe that happened. And here I am talking earlier, like, oh, I knew the players were going to be in the game. Obviously, all of us in the group chat gave up on the game, and then that happened. And then they got the 2-point conversion, and then they had a game. But to go into the whole thing, though, what Mike was talking about, Fred Warner, man, this guy's a stud. He is a bona fide player who looks like he's going to be a Pro Bowler and arguably an All-Pro. If I had to choose one person who wouldn't give up on any single play of the game, whether it's a 90-yard touchdown and he's still flying down the field, it's Fred Warner. This guy has the mentality that we haven't seen since Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman when he was healthy. That's how good Fred Warner can be. I don't know if that's his ceiling, but that's sure as hell his mentality when he's on the field. The guy flies around and wants to do everything possible, and I think he gets a lot of that from Quan Alexander. So when you see the guys flying in, sacking Wilson, getting tackles for loss, forcing fumbles, the guy can do anything. And I really think if we lost him, I thought Quan Alexander's loss was huge, but if we lost him, I think he would be one of the biggest losses to the defense. The guy is an absolute anchor. And then, before I cut it off too, I want to give a shout out to K'Wan Williams also. That guy was flying off the edge so fast. That guy is so good in the slot. You didn't hear Tyler Lockett's name called all night long. And all game we heard how, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, this connection, the guys have it. They're one of the best duos in the game. Wilson only targeted Lockett like 3 or 4 times, and that was it.
Because you don't throw to somebody you can't see. He was blanketed, baby. Like, that's why. Let's go.
You can't even spot little 5'9" K'Wan Williams, but that shows how effective he is. And if I'm right, I think PFF has K'Wan Williams as the best graded slot corner in all of football. All of football. So shout out to him. But overall, man, I agree with Mike. There's nothing more to say than this defense is elite. It's a really elite defense. And I can't believe we're saying that. I would have never thought that this, going after from last season, I think we all kind of knew the defense was going to be top 10, but I didn't know the defense was going to be top 1. Number 1 in the league. I would have never thought.
I want to send a huge shout out to Lynch and Kyle for putting piece by piece, brick by brick, this defense together. Many of us didn't see the K'Wan piece. Many was like, trade for Chris Harris Jr. Say we weren't. Say we weren't. Yeah, say we weren't. Everybody wanted him because that was the guy from Denver that was rated the number 1 slot corner in the NFL. I don't even know who he is anymore. You know why? You know why? Because K'Wan Williams. This defense, Nick, you might be different. I might didn't know you then. But what I'm saying is everybody wanted Chris Harris. And now that we took K'Wan, we traded for K'Wan, matter of fact. Now that we got him and we built this defense layer by layer, it built it layer by layer. It started with the linebackers because they had to replace Willis and them. Then they started beefing up the line. They started drafting guys for rotation and until they could get their ends right? And then all of a sudden, they had built this parts in the secondary. They bring in a veteran, right? And then they got these younger pieces to grow. Layer by layer, they were building the defense. 3 years. 3 to 4 years, that defense it took to make this defense number 1. And now that and we not talking about Jimmy freaking Ward because he's balling out. He might not have the interceptions, but who's there to save them touchdowns from them big games? Jimmy Ward. Who's there playing his space and as the safe? Jimmy Ward. Y'all better put some spec on that cat name, cuz we always talking about him getting injured, this, that, and the third. Whatever he eating right now is holding him down. Nick, you got the floor.
Wait. Hold on. When you go back and watch this game again on the defense, I'm gonna give y'all a name to go back and watch for. I'm not gonna give you my hot take, and I got a really, really hot take, but watch Dre Greenlaw.
Oh yeah.
All I'm gonna say.
Oh, yeah.
All game long. Watch Dre. Watch
over
Dre.
all over the field. And that
And
interception was.
That's the whole. I told y'all I passed out from the fumble touchdown play. That's the hole right there. I know y'all didn't believe me. I was not joking. That's the hole right there. Sheetrock time, baby. But yeah, watch Dre Greenlaw. Not just that touchdown. Not just that. That boy was playing. He was playing, bro. Shout out to the reserves, man. This coaching staff. All right, man. I'm not gonna keep going.
I've always been a Kwan fan though. You were talking about Kwan Williams, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about just the fan base. Like everybody was like, "Yo."
No, I was saying because you said we traded for Kwan, so I wasn't sure. Like, I didn't know where. Like, I
thought he came in the trade. I might have been wrong. My bad.
Yeah, no, he just came as a free agent because he was with Cleveland, and then he was out of football for a year.
Gotcha.
And Jeff Hafley, Jeff Hafley has known him since college, or since high school. I'm sorry, since high school. You heard Kyle Shanahan talk about that today on Kwan Williams. How he came here. But I've always been a big Kwan Williams fan, man. Always. Going back to probably since we started this podcast. But, yeah, the kid just balls out, man. And, people are like, oh, well, he's good with tackling if anything's in front of him. But he's getting better at tackling if the ball gets past him. Before he did struggle in that. He used to be able to – anything in front of him, he's going to lay you out. He's kind of like Jimmy Ward. Anything in front of you, he's going to lay you out. But you get behind him, it becomes a little bit of a different story. But you're right. Jimmy Ward deserves respect. I mean, Kwan Williams deserves respect on this team. I think Kwan Williams is probably one of the best corners that we have on this team right now. Like, I'd probably put him higher. I don't know because I don't know if he can play the outside, so it's kind of hard to compare him to Okello or Richard Sherman because it's a different position. You got to be able to be better shifty and fast and being able to blanket people in the slot compared to playing outside. But he's definitely in the right position. He plays very hard. He's a big factor. And like you said, Mike, look at the Dre Greenlaw thing. Watch Dre Greenlaw. I haven't watched the coach's film. I have watched the game over and over again, and man, he was balling. Him, Emmanuel Mosley, Richard Sherman allowed that big. I think Richard Sherman's actually the one who allowed that 3rd and 16. I think he's actually the guy who allowed that. It was on the right side of the field. Well, left side if you're looking at it. If it's in front of me, it was the opposite side, right side. But
watching, you mentioned Mosley before you pass off on him. Watching Emmanuel Mosley control that big body wide receiver in Metcalf was a thing of beauty. How he used the sideline to just control Metcalf, man. Like, the size discrepancy is massive. It didn't look like it. Metcalf didn't look as big as he is going against Emmanuel Mosley because of the way he was playing him and using his leverage. Man, these guys are well coached. This team, that defense, oh man, I can't even formulate the words. Like, this defense, they have the athletes, they have the intelligence, and they have the coaching. And as long as we have this defense, we are in every single game. I don't care if we're down 2 or 3 scores. That won't make a difference as long as this defense is there and they have more than 10 minutes left in the game, bro. They don't quit. There's no surrender in this defense at all. The chips are down. You at the 1 yard line. You got to earn that one. And what happened? That same exact play Wayne was just talking about, man. That strip that Tart had on the sideline. Tart was all the way out of bounds. Came back in and still stripped that joint away from him. Like, bro, they don't quit. They don't quit. You can't count a team out like that, man. And just trust me. When the offense gets it together at the end of the season and down the stretch when everybody's healthy and we all coming back, nobody going to want to see us in the playoffs. I promise you, nobody's going to want to see it. Hey, Seattle.
I agree.
Seattle, y'all got it. But we coming for you. I guarantee you we see you week 17 and y'all not going to like the results.
Mike, West Coast commented and said this defense greater than 2012 defense. We did a breakdown on that, and we were really, really close this year before this defense even played the way they are right now. And I'll tell you what, I think some of the things that we do right now are way better than what we did in 2012. And, I think we did give this defensive line the ups over on that 2012 defensive line, which I think is true. I don't think we did corners, though, because we were young and we had guys who were playing really well. But I think all between our corners and our safeties are better right now the way they're playing than what we had in 2012. But
Mike, your old predictions article better have like DeMontre Moore getting 5 sacks. You better give love for DeMontre Moore, man.
You already know my boy DM. He is cool, man. He's definitely going to be in my article because he's got to get some playing time.
He needs to come on here with us. We need to get him on here.
I was talking to him earlier. I'm working on it. We'll see. I don't know what he's allowed to do during the season, but I'm working on it. Yeah, I like that dude. I wanted to talk to him earlier, but so you already know how.
Well, I gotta get some crow food or something like if he comes on, so I can eat crow in front of him. But I'll do it though.
Camp body.
Yep. So,
it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, but I could guarantee you didn't think he was gonna come here and play like that though. The way that he played when we went over his numbers, you know what I mean? Those numbers were worthy of making this team, and he didn't, But what's another look? We talked about this on the overreaction show a little bit. Is this team overcame so many adversities in this game, right? And if you're talking about the defense, Mike. You're talking about the defense right now. We gave them 21 points. I don't want to say gave them because they still scored. They still did score on our defense, but we gave them good field position. We gave them really good field position, and it was a shorter field, and I can guarantee you if it was somewhere else, they wouldn't have scored, right? Because you're going to get some plays, right? But on the turnovers, we forced 4 turnovers. We only got 7 points from those. 7 points. They had 3 turnovers. And one of them was for a touchdown. And we got 7 points on ours as a defensive touchdown, right? So we both scored defensively. The other 2, they got 21 points off of turnovers. It's hard to come back and win a game, let alone be in the game like we were doing. We talked about this with Pittsburgh, right? That was a back and forth game. And now we go back and see, the offense was doing all the fumbling that game, obviously, right? But the defense was holding them. We held them to 6 points going into the half. We come into, we have 2 or 3 turnovers in the first half. And, this week we do that with a more potent of an offense with, I don't want to say more potent, but better athletes, I would say personally with wide receivers and quarterback, because there we were playing a quarterback who, is not a starter if Ben Roethlisberger's there, right? But now we do it to the MVP. You give up 3 and you're like, man, this is going to be tough. We take away 4 and we stay in that game. And like Mike said, man, as long as this defense is around, it's going to be hard to beat us. And that was hard to beat us, but I still think to today, even watching that game, I think we beat ourselves more than they beat us. And Mike, we talked about it. They got 3 touchdowns off of turnovers. The other drives, they tallied 87 yards.
And only 6 points.
6 points.
6 points, man. We literally beat ourselves in this game, and it's Seattle's not ready, man. The better team did not win. The better team didn't win this game, and it's all good. The better team doesn't always win. That's okay. That is okay. It took everything breaking their way for them to beat us in overtime by a field goal. When I say everything, as bad as we played that entire game, our backup kicker still had an opportunity to win that game in overtime.
It's crazy. It's crazy how well he kicked. I'm mad we lost the game, but I'm more mad at the fact that we lost the way we did. This rookie kicker coming in had the chance to be a hero. All the kicks he made looked really good. And then you guys joke about it earlier with the Madden with the kicking meter all the way to the left, dude. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. But I will say this though. He still made a game-tying field goal with 3 seconds left, which I think was the same distance as the game-winning field goal.
Exactly the same distance, 47.
That's what even made it more frustrating, But I digress. If Robbie Gould misses more time, I feel like I can confidently say Chase McLaughlin is a pretty decent kicker for us. And I don't know what the news is on Gould. Obviously, I'm jumping the gun, and I'm probably riding his bandwagon a little bit. But at least we found a kicker who can make some decent field goals. So, it's just frustrating that the game ended in that way. And the better team definitely lost. So I agree with Mike. The better team definitely lost.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question earlier because nobody's really talked about that missed kick. Like, we haven't put any of the blame on that missed kick. Like, we haven't said, well, we keep finding other things. But this goes to ask me the question is, before the season, we were talking about how important kickers are.
Yeah.
And people were arguing and saying they're not. You can get kickers to do this.
Yeah.
And we talked about how, even in the 30 to 39 range, and there's 60 or 70% of games in the NFL that have come down to 3 points or less, and how important a kicker was. Because guess what, guys? We're not homers, right? So we would have talked about it. But if he makes that kick, the fans aren't talking about everything else that's going on. They're not looking at all the bad. They're looking at we won.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to sit here and say and evaluate. And that's why I said that it's good for this team to lose, because they can reevaluate themselves. Because sometimes when you continually win and you overcome those adversities, you overlook the things that could have cost you the game as a player. Like, to get better. You heard Kendrick Bourne come out and say this week, this is on me. I need to hit the jugs more. I need to catch more balls. This is not an excuse. I need to catch these. But if we would have won that game, he wouldn't have thought in his head, damn, we lost this game because I didn't catch this. Or another receiver saying, damn, we lost this game because I didn't do this. So now you take, instead of putting it as overlooking as a team, now you're starting to look at as overlooking at it as yourself. What I did, because I know I messed up. So now I need to look at that more.
I think that's the positive. That's the most positive things you're getting out of this self-reflection. You have guys that are able to go and self-reflect. You have, even with just like, small injuries, like what can I do just to be better prepared so I don't get, re-injured the same way. I want to block better. I want to run my route better. Oh, we got to be better, yo. I caused us to lose this game. Oh, no, I caused us to lose this game. No, I caused us to lose this game. Let me tell you something about Chase McLaughlin. He worked at my gas station. I was like, look, man, my team was looking for a kicker. Do you want to come in and kick for Robbie Gould? He was like, yo, man, I would love the opportunity. He came in, he kicked 2 field goals. One was to tie the game. I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him. Because when is the last time he kicked in the NFL?
Week 4 with the Chargers, I think.
Okay, so that means that his experience, he needed to be in game shape just like everybody else. Okay, so I know he don't need the same amount of game shape, guys. I'm just using that as a joke. My point is, it was the right call. Kyle called for him to kick the ball. He kicked one previously. He felt like he was going to get it. He just shanked the ball to the left. We were just hoping that our defense could hold it, maybe get another turnover, get us the ball back. They did. We couldn't get the touch. We couldn't get back into position. We gave the ball back to Russell Wilson with not much time left on the clock, and he did what he had to do to get the victory.
I just think he failed on pressure, man.
It's a whole bunch, man. The big lights,
dude. That's a lot, man. You're on Monday Night Football. You've
timeout.
You've never kicked a game-winning field goal in your entire career.
Yeah, the timeout iced them.
Not even college.
Right, not even college. That's what I'm saying. Career, as in general, high school.
And that's why, Nick, to answer your question, that's why the fans aren't talking about him missing the field goal.
I know, but you would think that the fans would be talking about that because
they're empathizing with the fact that, man, this guy was pumping my gas last week. I can't believe he even kicked 2 field goals and hit those in the game. Like, he's getting a pass. That's
what I'm saying. It's surprising me though because of who we were playing.
I get you.
This fan base hates who we were playing. And to lose that and not specifically say, "Damn, we just missed a field goal, so that's why we didn't win."
What's funny about that, Nick, is that's our fan base. But I'm very fluent in a lot of fan bases, and they be like, "Dang, man, y'all almost beat Seattle. Y'all would have beat him if you had your kicker." Like that's what they're saying. Like, dang, y'all lost because your kicker.
Wait, you just say you're fluent with other fan bases?
Yeah, man, I just know a bunch of peoples, man. Like I do shows and stuff for everybody.
Bro, you know damn well you can't stand Saints fans. Get out of here. You know damn well you can't stand Saints fans.
No, I said fluent as me knowing who they are. Not that I like them. Not that I like them. I didn't say I like other people. I'm just fluent. Like I talk to them so I can get some stuff from them.
So let me ask you this question.
I damn sure can't stand Saints fans, especially on Twitter. They're the worst. They just make up stuff.
You just gotta know how to say like who died or whatever. But no, let me ask you this question though, since we're talking about kickers and we're talking about, you guys both just said, Anthony had said something about, to keep an eye on Robbie Gould and see what he's doing because you have confidence in Chase McLaughlin going to like take over if he needed to, right? Let me ask you this is a two-part question, right? Did you wish when that position came up that Robbie Gould was there, or because the kicker made 2 kicks already, you were completely confident, which is okay. You can do both. You can think about both, like, oh, damn, I wish Robbie was here, or, oh, I'm confident in this guy because he's already made 2 long ones. He looks good. They were right down the pipe, down the middle, blah, blah, blah. But does looking back on losing that kick and whether he made 1 kicks or not make you wish that Robbie Gould was there? Like,
I think
even with his misses this year, would you have more confidence in wishing that Robbie Gould was there to make that kick compared to him, right? Like, do you look back and say, damn, we really could have won this if Robbie Gould was there? Because a lot of us have been on Robbie Gould.
We have been
going down on him as well.
He started becoming consistent again. And we knew that was due. First it was the holder, then it was the long snapper. So all of Robbie Gould's formula for him to kick well was back. So Robbie Gould started being successful and kicking again. And so you want your veteran who's handled pressure, superstar pressure, the on the light Monday lights pressure. You want that person to kick the game-winning field goal. I was happy for McLaughlin, whatever his name is. Chase. I'm calling him Chase. That's his first name. I call him by his first name. I was happy for Chase, but in that last moment, I was like, I knew we didn't have goals, so you got to root for a guy. You got to root for you. He's on your team. You got to root for him. He kicked 2 field goals prior, was successful. And I mean, he didn't miss this field goal, guys. He shanked the ball all the way to the left. It was like, I could see if he would have just missed it and it was like a little skewed to the left. This was just a bad kick, bad hole, bad foot placement. I ain't no kicker. I can't break down I can't analyze how you're supposed to kick a ball. But y'all don't. If y'all go watch it, if y'all ever kicked the ball before, how do you want your balls? You want your laces out? Go check that ball, bro. That ball was a little different.
Don't listen to Wayne. Wayne's just full of conspiracies.
Look, so
go look at the ball, bro.
Wayne, my son is a kicker, right? So
yeah.
So listen, so the kick, the way that you put the football is different for each kicker. Some like it tilted a little bit, some like it out, some like it right, some like it left, some like it forward.
Okay.
It depends on the way that you kick with your foot. Now, most of the times, his foot wasn't pointed at the direction you want to go.
Okay.
And to me, looking at that picture, there was a little bit more bend in his left knee. He wasn't up. And then for his follow through, he was kind of sloped on that slant. I'm trying to explain it to you.
No, I
his
got
left
you.
leg was bent just a little bit, and his foot was pointing that way that the ball went. So his plant foot, instead of being straight toward, because you want to keep your body and your shoulders to what you're going to hit, right? When you hit a baseball, right? They want you to, with your step, they want you to do what?
Step into your swing.
Step into your swing, but your foot goes towards the pitcher, straight up the middle.
Right.
right?
His foot
It's the same thing with kicking. Your plant foot needs to be the angle you want to kick to, so that your body generates the torque and goes in that direction instead of this direction.
So it's gotta be.
McLaughlin opened up on his kick. His hips, his legs, they opened up. Think of your plant foot as a kicker as like your head. You look that way, you're going to go that way. Well, his foot is like his head. His foot was pointing way off to the side. And of course, the ball is going to go that way. So,
how did his mechanics change from two good, perfectly kicks to one?
It's nervous. It's okay. That's what it is.
He ain't ready to be a pro then. F that. I could bomb him now. So at some point, no, ain't no buts. You a pro. This is your opportunity to be a pro for a long time. This was his audition to take somebody's starting job. And he messed it up. Now I'm gonna be mad. I wasn't mad before. When you start talking about nerves, I get nervous. No, I get nervous every time I step out on that stage. But I ain't gonna show y'all that. I would mess up every single time.
That's the difference though. Like his is happening like that. So he doesn't realize he's doing that because he's rushing. It wasn't the pressure. I'm saying, shit, I need to make this. I got people barreling down on me. If I don't make this kick, we lose the game. So the pressure along with the rush, as in him rushing, it happens. Like
I agree. It definitely happens.
And you're just rushing.
It happens. It definitely happens. Just like wide receivers drop. Just like wide receivers drop passes.
You ever been cutting food and accidentally cut your hand?
Yeah, it happens.
It's the same.
That's different though. That's different.
You're rushing.
No, it's not about no. It's not just from rushing. Sometimes it's from a distraction. Okay, maybe a bird flew and shitted on his forehead or something while he was trying to kick. We don't know. Anything could have happened. All I'm saying is he's got to make that kick, bro. We make that kick.
Look, I totally 100% agree with you. I'm not.
It does happen, though.
But what I'm saying, I've been asking this question is why is the kicker not getting that much blame, right?
No, I know. I got you, bro.
Really, if you want to technically look at it, it all started with him. It's his fault. It ended with him to where it became his fault. Because obviously the points leading up to the game to put us in the situation we were in.
Yeah.
And then he makes 2 field goals, but then on the last, he completely shanks it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not,
it's not easy, guys. I got it. I'm just messing with y'all out there, man. I ain't mad at Chase.
I'm just asking. I don't even know if I'm asking a question. I'm just really surprised that the kicker's not getting all this blame. And
he's literally not. You know why? Because we could have easily had like 56 points in this game.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So with everything that happened, I'm just surprised that with who we were playing, we're 1-11 against them. The way that the game goes, and nobody in our fan base is saying, well, we lost this game because of the kicker. Because it finally made the rest of the fans actually sit there and watch the game and see that it didn't just come down to that. There were other points leading up to that to put us in that position in the first place. And that's what I'm saying. It's kind of surprising because if it was Robbie Gould, it would have all been Robbie Gould's fault.
It would have been Robbie Gould's fault. Okay.
Hell yeah. No doubt.
No doubt. Right? And that's what I'm trying to say.
And as soon as he could have went 7 for 7 and missed that one, and everybody would have been like, his ass got to go. He got to go.
But that's what I'm trying to say. So this is where I'm trying to say is we've all been really hard on Robbie Gould, right?
Yeah.
But as much as we don't want to admit it, when he's playing, we have that much confidence in him that he can make. Even though he's missed 7 kicks this year, I'm still more confident with him winning us a game than I am with anybody else on the field.
You should be.
Real quick, I think why the kicker doesn't get blamed more is the fact that the game shouldn't have even ended in the way that it did. It should not have finished with a field goal and a missed field goal. It's like this is one of those games where it's easy to blame everything else that happened, especially on guys like Garoppolo or the drops, because that was the bigger point of the game. But the underrated point of the game that no one talked about was the missed kick. And I think it's the fact that no one is really thinking about that it shouldn't have gone that way and it shouldn't have happened is a lot of the reason why the kicker isn't getting blamed more.
No, and you're right. I think that's how this fan base, the faithful, was thinking the way Perry is thinking. Yo, they were actually, like you said, Nick. They sat and watched this game, and they said, "Dang, yo, like we could have did this, we could have did this. He dropped this, he dropped that. He got beat, he got beat. Like, dang!" And then the kicker kicked and missed, and it was just like, ugh. Okay, and plus we still had another chance to win the game after that. Like,
right, but that's what I'm saying. If he wasn't there and it was Robbie Gold in there and he missed it, it would have all been Robbie Gold's fault. They wouldn't have looked back and thought about the rest of the game. Nobody would have.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, let's change the scenario just a little bit. Hypothetically, had that kick, even though it was for the game winner, had that kick, how can I say this? Because it was for the game winner. I just felt like they knew that if he missed this kick, this defense was playing so well that they had another opportunity to stop Russell Wilson. I think it was because of that. Like, that could have enhanced the, like, you know what? He missed it. He a rookie. Cool. Let's go win this game. Maybe that's what they were thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm not saying, but you're not hearing what I'm trying to say. I'm saying if Robbie Gold was in there and he kicked and missed that, nobody else would think about our defense played really well. We had all the drops. Jimmy Garoppolo played like shit. It would have been Robbie Gold is a piece of shit. Get rid of him.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Right. Now you're right.
All it would have been.
Right there.
Right.
Yep.
That's because, and you know why? Because Robbie Gold making $5 million to kick shit. Chase McClockey making $500 to kick shit. It's a big difference.
All I'm saying is it's the same outcome to get us to that point.
I know,
Just
bro.
because it's a different kicker, people would have ignored all the fact in between the game and would have focused on the kick.
I got you, bro. I'm with you. I'm with you, man. And you're right. You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
As much as it sucks, it's the truth. And
it's the truth.
But it also shows you that if we get into the playoffs, we need somebody that we can trust. And as much as you guys don't want to hear it, Robbie Gold is that guy right now. Like, yeah.
This is one of those wish you had gold moments. Like, so we got to be easy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you guys in general. I'm saying to the fan base, as in, you know, to me, he's the guy right now. Like, even missing 7 kicks when he comes out there, I'm still confident that I'm more confident he's going to make it than he is going to miss it.
I am
in a big situation. In a big situation. Whether he's overpaid or not, I don't care as long as it wins me a Super Bowl. Like, I really don't care. As long as he's part of winning a Super Bowl.
Agreed.
Look, we talked about Jimmy Garoppolo. We talked about, you know, some of the things that he did well. We talked about some of the things that he didn't do well. We talked about the receivers and the drops. We talked about the defense. We talked about, you know, the good play by Jaquiski Tart. We talked about the good play by Dre Greenlaw. Anthony, who was your guy on the defense? Oh, was yours?
I said Fred Warner, but I think K'Wan Williams deserves just as much love also.
Yeah. And, you know, we talked about K'Wan Williams. Sherman had a decent game. You know, we talked about Manuel Mosley holding down DK Metcalf. The best thing that I liked about Fred Warner that night was his tiger crawl after that sack.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
That was awesome, bro. Like, he rolled over on Russell Wilson and was like just going forward. I loved it. And they like cut the TV screen off of it. But when I rewatched it, I saw, I'm like, look at Fred out there eating like a lion. I like it. But
the swagger that they play with, real quick, the swagger that they play with and that mentality they play with is infectious. Everyone is on the same page. And I mean, when we had Chip Kelly, when we had Jim Tomsula, you didn't feel that way at all. And you see everyone, even the backups, are on the same page. Like, look at Dre Greenlaw. Dude, I lost my voice when he got the interception. And then he's running up the field. I'm like, this dude looks like he's moving at 2 miles per hour. Run faster.
Yo, he was trying to score, yo. Yeah. I was like, if he would have got 10 more yards, we would have had to get 10 more yards. Field goal would have been from the 30-yard line, and we would have won that game.
I didn't think it was so much that he thought he was going to score. He was like hesitant. Like, I'm kind of with Anthony on this one. Like,
too.
He was hesitant. Like,
oh, so he was running like Richie James. Yeah, he was running like Richie James. Yeah. I saw that. I see it.
But like I'm saying, like, he would, instead of staying, like, if he was trying to score, he would have got to the middle of the field, instead of forcing himself out of bounds.
Out
He
of
thought
bounds.
there was no
Yeah,
lane there.
yeah, yeah.
And he was just, like kind of hesitant. And
I don't think he knew what to do with
but the
ball.
blockers were as well. The blockers were really hesitant with him as well. Some were behind him, some stayed halfway, then some just.
I think they were all.
Yeah.
First of all, that was an amazing interception, and I think they still were stuck on the fact that he caught the damn ball mid-air, stole it from Hollister, and was just like, I think everybody was like, "What?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I agree.
but we the fans were like, "Run!" And he was just like, I think he didn't know what to do. I think they were all struck, man. That's what it looked like.
Overall, man, he had a really good game. And you couldn't even tell like that Quan wasn't out there, to be honest with you.
Yes, you could, because his energy from the sideline was infectious.
Yeah, but
that man was going sick on the sideline, bro.
On the field.
I know.
No,
But
I'm saying though, we wouldn't have noticed how hyped he was getting on the sidelines if they didn't show it on TV. You know what I mean? Like he was getting hyped, and that's what he's supposed to do. Clapping everybody up, getting them hyped, showing that his energy is still there. But on the field wise, I mean, like you couldn't really tell. Like Dre Greenlaw filled in really, really good.
No one on that defense last night. No one on that defense is older than 30. I think the oldest player is D Ford. He's 28. That's insane to me, dude. You have 3 linebackers that look like they could still be in college, and they're going out there playing NFL games and playing their asses off.
Yeah,
and that's a huge testament to how these guys play overall. It's unbelievable. I'd throw that out there. It's unbelievable.
D Ford is older than Sherman?
D Ford?
Oh, Sherman. I'm sorry. Sherman's 31. He's the only one. I totally forgot. The rest of the guys, though, they're like infants out there, and they're going out there playing their asses off. So, yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know what this says, though? Excuse me. You know what this says? These 3 linebackers are going to be nasty for years to come.
Oh, nasty.
Nasty.
Fast, flying from sideline to sideline,
and
middle coverage.
You know, we go back and we talk about this, and we talk about, man, we are 8-1. And we're complaining so much about this loss. And, you know, we talked about this on the Overreaction show. As much as I don't care who you are, you could tell if you try to tell me that you had us going 8-0 the first half of the season, I'd have told you you're crazy. And we watched this team over and over and over and over again, and I had no clue that we were going to be 8-0. We just talked about it defensively. We just said we would have guessed that this defense was going to be top 10, not number 1.
Number 1, yo.
You know, I believe Anthony was saying that. Like, we could have guessed that it was going to be top 10, but we never knew it was going to be
number 1. No,
like number 1 in the league right now. You know, so
the defense, according to Football Outsiders DVOA, which is basically like their scale of how they measure football, offenses, defenses. The Niners defense got better after that Seattle game. Yeah, they were already number 1, but they went up number 1 even more. That's how impressive it is.
It's crazy, man. So it's like somebody says
because even in the loss, they still produced. They still got the high sacks. They still got the pass breakups. That's crazy.
This is the first time that we've lost to Seattle where I don't feel like they just completely handled us.
They didn't dominate us. How many points did the defense give up? 14? 17?
6.
Nah, their defense only scored once. So their offense scored 2 touchdowns.
Oh, how much? I'm sorry.
6 points. Yeah, 6 points. Yeah. 21 off of turnovers, 6 points off of actually driving.
Yeah.
That's it.
So really it's 20 really they scored 21 points. 20 points off of
offense.
Off of offense, yeah.
From our turnovers, and then 1 defensive touchdown.
Right.
So we kept them at the 20-point mark, which we said, right? That's what we were saying. Yeah. We kept them where we were supposed to. And we just couldn't outscore them. That's what happened. And we outplayed them. We just, we just gave Russell too many chances. Yeah.
The better team lost. And it happens. Yeah. I mean, look at the rest of the league. It is not easy to win games. The Saints lost to the Falcons, and they're 1-9, 1-7. Who else? The Dolphins beat the Colts. Unbelievable. It happens. Losing games happens. It's just that was so frustrating.
The thing, where we lost this game was not putting up more points off the turnovers, capitalizing. Because we only got 7 points. But like I said, man, I hate Seattle. Like, hate them. Right? And I'm sitting there watching that game, and after it was over, I was watching with a friend from Twitter. We were all at the Nuno's bar in Linden, and Michelina was like really upset. And she hates Seattle. A lot of people there. I've seen people crying. Like, they were so upset that we lost and they were crying, right? But I sat back and I thought, like, was sitting here thinking, and I'm like, this is the first time ever that, like, playing Seattle and losing to them, that I wasn't just like, we're not the better team.
Yeah,
like,
I'm the same way.
You mean
I literally sat there.
We were the better team. Yeah, they're not.
We're the better team.
We were.
Right. I'm saying like the years past when I watched, I'm like, we're not the better team. Like, we're getting our butts handed to us. Like, but this year, I felt like we were the better team, and we just beat ourselves, and we weren't getting manhandled. And every time that we went on defense, I thought we were going to stop them, and it wasn't going to be like, damn, they're about to score again. Dag, they're about to score again. Dag, they're about to score again. Like I've felt in the past. So to me, mentally, it was a win, because the way that the Seahawks used to handle us, even in that overtime loss last year.
It was right? Like a shot to the gut, yo.
Even in that overtime loss for them last year when we beat them, it wasn't that we truly outplayed them. We just had some better bounces and things that went our way, and they didn't play their best game that they could play.
They were the better team still.
Right. While this year, they don't scare me. Even though they beat me, they don't scare me going into CenturyLink Field. Like, it doesn't scare me now. So for me to sit back and look at this team and say, one, I never would have guessed we were 8-0 going into that game. Right?
Hell no.
I'm happy as hell as where we are with that. I would have never guessed that. Yes, we lost, but we also didn't lose because we're not better than them. We lost because we beat ourselves.
Yeah.
And it puts us at 8-1. Now, while I said this before, and you guys can talk on this, is I said before, Wayne, to you guys, I didn't want to go undefeated. Like, I wanted us to get a big loss or a loss to make us kind of step back and reset us and let everybody know that, okay, we are beatable. And if we don't play at every level of how we need to play in all three phases, catching the football, running the football, defensively, offensively, special teams, protecting the football, the turnover battle, the penalties, you're not going to win in the NFL. And and like you said, this loss was a big loss. It was a division, so it means more than just an out-of-division game.
Mm-hmm.
You lost ground to your number 2 team in the NFC West. You lost a game to be the NFC's number 1 seed, but now you can go back and self-reflect, like you said earlier. Make you look at tape and look at yourself other than looking at the win.
Exactly.
You're now looking at yourself. So that's why I think this loss was really, really big for us. And
I think any loss would have been big, but I think this loss is like on a much bigger scale because it was to your division, second place division team rival, a team you're trying to bump out of the whole picture in every freaking way. So you're right. So the self-reflection from this is going to mean that much more to each individual, each player. And that's why that's what we could take from this loss. And we, the fans, need to self-reflect and understand that this is what this team is going to do. Don't worry about the next opponent and us like, oh, we lost this and we did this and you blah, blah, blah. No, this team is resilient. You've watched it for 8 games. You watched them be down, come back. You watched them dominate from the start to the finish. It's a different thing every week because they're going to try to outmatch. They got to match up to their opponent. So when they play Arizona this week, it's going to be different. Just watch. Now I gotta sign off because I gotta go teach in the morning. But I love you, dudes. I appreciate you guys. Nothing but Niners for life, man. I'm out.
All right, see you, Wayne. Good night.
Peace.
All right, Anthony.
And yeah, just to close it off, he hit it right on the head. They win that game. I don't think the players look at themselves individually compared to if they lose, and I think that's a huge thing to talk about. I don't think Kendrick Bourne says I need to hit the jugs machine more, I need to work more if they win the game. And I just have to finish with that because that was an excellent point to bring out.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was saying earlier, and it's like, to me, people were like, well, what do you mean you want to lose? And I'm like, I'd rather lose in a regular season than go in the playoffs undefeated and lose there, or go into Century Lake Field and lose there. Like, because we were talking about if we're undefeated, being 16-0 or 15-0 and going into Seattle, do you rest your players or do you go for the undefeated? And I said, I'm resting my players.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, well, but you can't just, people are just saying, well, you can't give up a chance at making history. And I'm like, do you know how hard it is to make that history? Who cares if you can't you want to play your players and now you get two main players injured? Your ultimate goal is crushed. There's nothing you can do about it. Whereas to me, I'm like, win your division. That's the first goal. You're in the playoffs, right? If you get if you get the number 1, number 2 seed, that's because you had a good year. But win your division. You don't make a goal to be number 1 seed. You make a goal to win your division because that's the easiest and the best way to get in the playoffs. Then you move into the playoffs and you go game by game in the playoffs. And then you make it a point to make your next goal. You make goals weekly. Win this game, win this game, win this game, win this game, win the Super Bowl. And then the Super Bowl becomes a goal because you completed every other goal. But to me, this, as much as I didn't want to lose this game, I think it is going to allow this team to realize that it's just, no matter how much we came, look, they have a lot of positives, right? They do have a lot of positives. Look, we talked about them tonight, the positives of what they went through and were still at the end of the game and missed because of a kick or whatever. But it also has a lot of bads. And I think, like I said, winning covers a lot up. We've heard this before.
Yeah.
We've heard this before about, you think that front offices and stuff get along because they're winning, but then you start to lose and you see that it unravels, right?
Very fast.
Right, exactly. So this losing to a division rival, I think it makes sting more and makes them go to look and say, what can I do better? Not what can we do better? Because if we win, they're not saying, oh, well, Kendrick Bourne, you dropped this pass, or Deebo Samuel, you dropped this pass, or Dante, you dropped this pass. I guarantee you, if we win that game, Kyle Shanahan doesn't come out and say what he said about Dante Pettis.
I agree. I agree 100%.
But now that we lost because of those things, it's in, not that Kyle Shanahan avoids talking or coaching or things like that, but he may just overlook it a little bit and say, well, this was more of a problem than this was. But winning field makes everything look really good and makes everything work really better, or much better. Really better. Makes everything work much better. But when you lose, it brings you back to that level and really dig into, why did we lose? Not let's watch tape on why we won. Let's watch tape on why we lost.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Kyle Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan put it on all the receivers. He talked about all the receivers, but he mainly put it on Pettis. But that was because the question was asked directly about Pettis.
Yeah.
It wasn't asked about Bourne. It wasn't asked about Deebo. It was literally, the question was asked and said, well, Dante Pettis, you have been on him all year about this, and he's still continuing to drop passes, such and such and such. What are your thoughts on this? Well, you only get a certain amount of opportunities or whatever. But if we win that game, like I said, I don't think that if we win that game, that's addressed. I don't think that we reset ourselves and say, let's look at the tape on the reasons why we lost instead of the reasons why we won. Let's focus on the negative instead of focusing on the good, because the negative is what we need to fix to get better. We already know where we're at good. We need to know why this game wasn't won. And these are the reasons. Quarterback play, offensive line play, quarterback play. You can still put it on the quarterback because he fumbled the ball twice. So offensive line play, quarterback play, receiver drops, right? Not scoring on turnovers.
Yeah,
offensively, right? Offensively is why we lost. So
and it's okay to lose. It's okay to lose. It happens. But losing shows you what your real problems are.
Exactly.
It shows you what is going on that's wrong with the team. And that's okay. And you bring it up exactly. If we win all of our games, you can point out the little things that went wrong. But if you lose one of those games and that same little thing turns into the big thing, then that's what the real problem is. And then that's what the team can focus on and move on with and really work on. And it's like earlier with Joe Staley and Mike McGlinchey, they haven't been good all season. But because we're winning these games, no one's really talking about it. You've heard people say, oh, Joe Staley got beat here, Mike McGlinchey got beat there, but you're not talking about how bad they were overall.
Right.
You only point out the few plays versus the many plays. Yep. And obviously in a loss like this, you can point out the huge things that happened. So going forward, you lose a game or two, that's okay. It only better prepares the team going forward.
Right. And like I said, it puts, no matter who you are, winning and losing, winning covers up a lot of stuff, right? Yeah. It hides a lot of stuff, right? It's like, okay, well, let me just put this over us and leave it there for later. And it's basically just covers it up. And, kind of like the whole type of thing where they say sweeping it under the carpet, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then when you go to reinstall that carpet because a new, you're losing and losing and losing, or winning and winning and winning, and you're not looking at that. Then when you do lose and you're like, man,
let's look really bad.
Right. So,
and real quick too, the one thing you were the only person to talk about all season, for one example, is the wide receiver drops. You're the only one to point out the wide receiver drops. And even I didn't think much of it because the team was playing well. And now it shows its ugly face into the Seattle game. And then everyone's talking about the drops. And I mean, the past couple seasons, the drops have been really bad. But those drops didn't mean anything because we were losing all the games. Now that we lost our first game and everyone is blaming it on drops, no one has talked about the fact that the team has been dropping balls at a still pretty bad rate. I think the Niners are in the middle of the pack in drops, but when it comes down to one catch or two catches like Seattle, the drops are huge. And quite frankly, like you said, it's been going on almost all season.
Right. And, but like I was saying to Mike before about the drops, and he's like, well, we're at this place in the pack. And I'm like, yeah, but you also have to look at there weren't as many attempts as everybody else. So your number's going to look better statistically than it really is. Because if you throw, like today, we threw 46 passes, right? But we had 9 drops. When we only threw the ball 17 times and we have 3 drops, it's almost like the same percentage.
Yeah, it equivalates.
Right, it equivalates. And it just looks better because there was less attempts than there were opportunities and making.
Yeah.
But now that we had more opportunities, those numbers went up.
Yeah, it inflated dramatically.
And it's not, to me, it's not about, I've been saying this all year, not because, look, receivers are going to drop balls, right? Completely understand that. But it's the crucial part of the game that because we won, you don't look back at that. But if we had lost, you would look back at that. But you have to be open-minded and think, what if we lost this game because of this? Mm-hmm. But we do it as fans. We do it as analysts. We do it as people. We don't look at the bad when you win because you take more positives than the negatives, when really those negatives that have been happening all year in crucial downs for first downs look worse now because we lost the game because of it.
Exactly.
So that's where I talk about winning covers things up. But I try to look at the game as in a full, because whether we win or lose, the game is still the game. So drops have been bad all year. And, it's just, I don't understand. I don't know why it is. I think our receivers is something, I don't want to say that it's something Kyle Shanahan can or can't coach, but I think the type of receivers that we have are used to catching the football and just going.
Yeah.
So those guys are focusing on what they can do after the catch before they're making the catch. So they're not looking the ball all the way in. They're looking.
Yeah, they're looking ahead.
But that's because that's how they play their game.
Exactly. And in Kyle Shanahan's offense, when your quarterback is throwing the ball at spots, you're throwing the ball in spots and expecting yards after the catch. That's what it is.
Yep.
You make contested one-on-one catches and you're not really expecting yak. Or you make tight window throws, you're not expecting yak. But because you're throwing balls in spots, you're expecting yardage in front of you. So these receivers are looking ahead of themselves thinking, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And then the first thing that they forget that should come to mind is I need to catch the ball first. So, it's pretty much a part of the offense, but almost all the wide receivers are being asked to do the same thing, and they need to step up and do it. And Sanders has, but the other guys kind of haven't much.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, the way that this offense is schemed is these guys are schemed open because most of the balls that you're seeing dropped aren't in coverage.
No.
Some of them are. Don't get me wrong. Some of them have been this year, but the most of them are when a receiver is completely wide open. It would have been a first down and the ball is dropped. And it just looks like the focus and the mentality is not there, as in watching the ball all the way in, tucking, and then going. It's catch where, okay, the ball's coming. Where am I going? Just as the ball's about to hit your hands, where am I going? Or this way. Because especially a catch on the chest in football, the ball usually bounces because it's hitting something hard, right? Yeah. You have to be able to close in on that. So, you don't see that with Kittle because Kittle's not worried about where he's going to go next or how he's going to get hit. He just catches the football and then tries to make a move. If he gets hit, he gets hit. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's what separates Kittle from the rest of the guys, and obviously except Sanders, is that I think he just knows he can catch and go. He knows he's physically dominant. He knows he can outmuscle anyone. And that's just a mindset none of the other guys really have. And that can ultimately be the biggest downfall with the rest of the wide receivers is, they're thinking too much about what to do afterwards. They need to just trust themselves, catch the ball, and just run. You catch the ball, a lot of the time you're not looking ahead of you. I think someone brought it up. Some of these guys are afraid to get hit sometimes. Oh, yeah. And I get that's part of the game. It happens. But you need to be able to brace for impact and be able to take anything on. And you got to be fast. You got to be quick. You see how fast Kittle is with his cuts when he's running a crosser? The guy's ready to make a move. Even if no one's there, you almost feel like the guy's just ready to go. And honestly, the rest of the receivers don't have that.
Truthfully, though, a lot of it could be film study.
That too.
Because George Kittle may do more film study and know where the defense's people are supposed to be.
He's smart.
That he catches it. Because you do a game plan. You talk about what will work during what coverages. And if those coverages are correct, the defensive guys will be where they're supposed to be. And you should know a mental mind picture. If I catch this ball here, I should have 10 yards to run and go whichever way I want. Right? Instead of but it could be these guys are younger. They don't know what to look for. And I understand George Kittle's only a 3-year vet, but these are things that he could be better at. And it could just very well be. But like you said, I mean, it's just a lot of it has to do with youth. A lot of it has to do with being afraid of taking that hit across the middle. I don't think Debo's afraid to take that hit across the middle. I think Dante Pettis is. But then you see catches with Dante Pettis like where he won the Pittsburgh game. He didn't have space.
Yeah.
He felt the ball squeezed and he braced himself, right?
He went right in there, yeah.
But when he's in space and can take a huge hit, he's a little timid.
I think he braces for it. I honestly think he really braces for those hits, and I feel like Kendrick Bourne does too. And I think Deebo Samuel is just physically gifted to where he's not afraid to take on contact. But again, guys like Pettis, Bourne, Marquise Goodwin, you almost get the feeling that they don't want to take on that huge hit, especially in this kind of offense where the RPOs are becoming more prevalent and guys getting schemed open where there is space ahead of you, is going to happen. But guys are afraid to get hit. And
it's crazy because the guys that play nowadays, Anthony, and I don't know how long. I mean, you're a little bit younger than I am. Not that that's a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. But I mean, when you talk about older football, like you weren't a wide receiver unless you went across the middle.
Yeah.
So you just weren't. And that's the way that you kind of earned who you were on the team is you taking a big hit across the middle. You can't get hit like you used to going across the middle anymore. These guys got to know that. Like, there's times where even if you don't catch the ball, you're getting blasted going across the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so just catch the football. So, it's just interesting. But, I said we were going to get off here at 1, so I kind of talked a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's only 10 o'clock on the West Coast.
Yeah, that's my bad. But, look, we talked about all the goods. We talked about the bads. I'll tell you what, man. I talked about this before. There's only one team that scares me in this NFC right now, and that's Baltimore. That's the only team that really scares me. I think we can match up defensively and offensively against other defense that we're going to go up against, except for Baltimore. I'm a little worried about that. I believe Ryan Clark or somebody had us finishing 13-2 going into Seattle. Both of us 13-2. And
with the way the Saints' offensive line performed against Atlanta, I instantly changed the way I thought about New Orleans.
Yeah, fair, but they can put up a ton of points, but I don't think they're going to with our defense. Like, don't and I think if we can score 24, 25 points in that game, I think we win that game. So, it doesn't scare me, but we'll keep this on the review. It was a loss, guys, but there was a lot of positives to take out of it, as well as a lot of negatives that we should focus on. And we've been focusing on the negatives. And once I get to watching the tape, I'll probably pick out some more negatives because I see better. And obviously I didn't watch it in a bar with friends, and I didn't lay in my bed and fall asleep and have to watch it 5 different times. But I'll study the film and I'll look at it, and I'm sure I'll get a lot more positives out of it as well. You always get positives and you always get negatives. But overall, man, I'm super proud of this team. I mean, that's a big loss. It's our first loss. But I really think it was something that we needed. And that's not to be, like I want to lose to Seattle. I explained all that earlier. But it's something that I think we needed to set up our future, I guess you could say, to set up our future. To set up the victories of the future instead of the failures. And failing early, they always say it's good to fail early and often. As long as you're failing earlier and often, you learn so that you don't make those mistakes going forward. Exactly. So this is a good game to lose. We're halfway through the season. We're coming up on 3 or 4 big games in our schedule, and we were just set to reality and self-reflection heading into those bigger games. The Arizonas, the New Orleans,
Baltimore. We still got to play LA.
If we can get through those 4 or 5 games with 3 wins, it's a win for me.
Exactly. And I believe we can.
Yeah, and even if we come out 4-1, like I'm still okay with that. So, but I think this sets us up. But any last thoughts for you?
Nah, man, you hit it on the head. Losing is a reality check for these guys. And Russell Wilson said he hadn't felt like he played a game like that, and it felt like a NFC Championship game. That's how it felt like to him. And if it's going to feel like that to him, it's going to feel like that for the rest of our team. So going into games against Green Bay, New Orleans, Seattle, Baltimore, this team is ready.
Yeah, I think they are. I really agree with you. I think we're 100% ready. Let me ask you one question. Do you, with the play of our receivers, are you looking for anybody else to step up? And I know we'll talk about this on other reviews, but I just want to hear just from your review of this game of receivers, is there anybody that you want to see step up receiver-wise or think that should get?
Debo needs to be very, how do I say it? He needs to be very fine. He needs to be very consistent. He needs to be consistent going forward.
But he's been consistent. He's been dropping 1 or 2.
Don't need.
And catching 8 or 9.
I want him to truly separate himself as wide receiver too. obviously Sanders is Garoppolo's favorite target, but I want Garoppolo to really work with Debo also. I think, obviously Kyle Shanahan likes the 2 wide receiver sets. I want that other receiver to constantly be Debo on the other side. And going forward, you need you need another solid pass catcher outside of your first wide receiver, and obviously Kittle. And I want Debo to be that guy. He has stepped up. He looked really good against Seattle, but I want to see it going forward. And I don't mind the backups. I really don't. But you still need continuity with your starting guys, and that starts with guys like Debo.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: are you sitting Dante Pettis and giving Richie James more time?
Yeah. And you know me, I'm the biggest Dante Pettis fan out here. I think he deserves more targets, but Richie James in his limited time playing has been extremely effective. He's been really effective, and I think he has the ability to play and catch a ball and get open. So, I don't know if game plan is calling for James to only return kicks or what, but man, that guy needs more playing time. He really does.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Kyle Shanahan said something about Richie James today, and he says, well, we have him up on special teams, but he's ready to go as a receiver if he needs to.
If he needs to.
I'd rather see Richie James right now than Dante Pettis. And that's just me personally. And I mean, Dante Pettis, something's just going on. I don't know what it is. Love the kid. Wish he would step up, but it's just right now you can't continue to hope that somebody gets out of a funk. Like, you need to move on right now and see if you can get out of that funk today. Not next week, not the week after, not the week after. Like, we need to step up and change that. But hopefully Richie will start to get more snaps as well as Goodwin. Goodwin needs to step up too.
He's a big one also, man.
I'm a huge Goodwin supporter. Have always been. But man, if you can't step up and look like you want to be here playing, you guys all talk about, not you personally, but people talk about Robbie Gould and his attitude and not wanting to be here. Marquise Goodwin has the same damn, if not worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he looked like he just completely gave up in that game. And,
yeah.
It's like, I don't need people here that are going to give up. You've seen Deebo Samuel drop a football and then still get 112 yards throughout the whole game. And make 5 or 6 guys tackle him.
Yeah. So, and I get that family is more important than football. It should be. Family, and your personal life is everything. But if Goodwin really needs time to get away from the game and just separate himself from football, go do it. There's other receivers and there's other guys on the team waiting for their opportunity. And I'm not saying Goodwin is wasting, other guys' chances. But if he's not making the most of it, step away and focus on yourself. Focus on what you need to get done and trust the other guys behind you to get the job done also.
Yeah, and plus, I seen somebody bring up this comment again here. It said, yeah, he deleted all his Niner stuff off of his accounts too. I had brought that up a couple weeks ago. And when the whole thing was going on. And I'm like, what's going on with Goodwin, because he removed all his stuff. So, but either way, man, it's
roller coaster, dude.
It's a roller coaster, and I think we just need to have these guys step up, man. Hopefully Emmanuel Sanders has this, well, not hopefully he has the same injury, but hopefully it's like kind of sort of like
day to day
where he can play and do pain management and get through it. But then again, Emmanuel Sanders could just not be the beast that Kittle is. So either way, man, the trade deadline's over. All these guys are stuck here for at least the rest of this year. What we do afterwards, or just cut them and bring somebody else in, which I really highly doubt will happen. You're too far along in the season, unless an injury happens, I believe, and you're forced your hand. But yeah, I think, guys, it's excuse me. It's a tough loss and a tough pill to swallow. But if you sit back and you look at it, and to think that we were still in that game, we lost the game because of a lot of things leading up to the rookie kicker missing the field goal. But we were still in position to win that game in overtime, even after the missed field goal. We were still in position to win. And, it's just there's a lot of good things to take, a lot of bad things to take. But believe me that we'll be back on cue this week starting to go. Arizona's coming to us. So
And we got more primetime games coming up too, dude. They flexed the Rams and Niners into Saturday, Week 16. Niners and Packers is Sunday Night Football. Oh, I cannot wait to hear Collinsworth.
Yeah. It should be fun. It should be fun. I almost look at it now as like I've been to so many games and I shouldn't have bought Sunday ticket this year because everything's getting flexed to prime time. It's already on TV, and I've been to so many games, and then I go out with a couple of my friends for 2 weeks. So it's like, oh man, and I still have 2 games left. But you don't know that you're going.
Exciting, dude. I've never heard in the history of the stadium how loud and how awesome Levi Stadium was. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was the thing, man. A lot of people were talking about it, and people's watches were going off saying, a few more minutes of this noise, this level of noise will hurt your ears. Like people's watches going off.
I heard that before.
Yeah, like it was literally going off on their hands, and they're taking pictures of it. If you stay in this area, like you're taking the chance of getting ear damage.
Yeah.
And then you heard Rob Lauder and Eric Crocker talk on their podcast on 4th and Gold, that you could feel the stadium shaking, and you're like asking yourself, like, is it safe that it's shaking like that? I felt it shake at Pittsburgh, and I could only imagine what the energy was like that night. So, amazing. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. We talked about it at the end of the season. We talked about it, how we can make Levi's Stadium feel at home, and we all said win. Start to win. When we were doing the whole all gas, no brake thing for the chants and things like that, and it's like you can't force things on these fans, but they'll come if you start to win. And, bro, we're 8-0, and that play. They sold 71,000 tickets.
Full house.
Sellout. It was a sellout. When was the last time in history Levi Stadium was sold out? Never. So, it was good for us to get that going, and it's good that our fans are knowing when to cheer and when not to cheer. So that's even better. So,
that
before you're just helping the opponent team.
Week 3 Steelers game, man. The offense was out there. Everyone's still loud. Like, y'all need to be quiet.
Yeah. It's good that they finally learned. But that's all I got, guys, for tonight, man. That's our preview show on the 49ers versus Seahawks. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you're following us on Twitter and Snapchat, that's nothing but 9 ERS. If you want to follow us there. If you're watching us here on Facebook, we also have an Instagram, nothing but Niners, all spelled out. But if you are watching us here on Facebook, make sure that when you check out the top of the screen, in the description or the description section above the video, make sure you click more so that you can see that you can click on StreamYard and allow yourself to broadcast your name in our platform here. Because I have to bring up Facebook on a separate device to see who's commenting. I want to be able to see your name in our actual platform here. So make sure you guys click that, allow StreamYard to see you. If you want to check out our website and get all those places I just told you to follow us, our Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram, just visit our website, nothingbutniners.com, and that's all spelled out. You can check out a lot of great things over there. Got Anthony just dropped an article today called Relax.
Relax.
Yeah, just relax. Go over there and check that out, man. I have not had a chance to read it yet, so I'm not going to even tell you that I have. I am going to check it out right after this show. I'm going to go read that. But anyway, go over there, check that out, guys. And then make sure you share it. If you read it, share it on your social media page, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, wherever you're at. Also, if you want to send us any pictures, send us some of your game day attire. I don't care if you're at work rocking, a Niners thing, or your pet or your car or whatever it is. Send it over to our email, and that email is at nb9ers@nothingbutniners.com. All right. Last but not least, our podcast, guys, check those out. We did just drop a new one. That's SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, all podcast apps. And also, Anthony and Zach, and I believe Steve, do a podcast. So why don't you tell them where you guys can find that at? Tell them where you guys can find that out as well.
All right, guys. Everything Nick said, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Himalaya, all the podcast apps. It's called the Red and Gold Standard Podcast. Again, the Red and Gold Standard Podcast. Zach and I will break down Niners games. We preview, we review, we'll get guests on the show, and we're really getting it kicked off, and we're really excited to get it going. So, check us out. Leave a like, review, comment, subscribe, all that. Red and Gold Standard Podcast.
Oop, I gotta edit that. Hold on. Sorry, guys. That was the wrong one. Sorry. I want to put it up here so you guys can see it, but I spelled podcast wrong. It's been a long night.
It's okay.
So, guys, that's the Red and Gold Standard Podcast. I've seen them on Twitter, SoundCloud, iTunes, Tuned In, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, where Anthony said. But check that out over there. Like I said, guys, give them a like and subscribe. Give them a rate and a review. Hit that subscribe button. Give them a follow over there. Two guys that know what they're talking about with football as well. And check it out. Doing a great job over there. So, other than that, guys, man, I don't have anything else. Remember to keep it all gas, no break. Keep that stadium loud at Levi. The 49ers do not play away until December 1st. You have enough time to play and run that stadium and just, I don't know, make some walls crack from all the loudness. I don't know. Do something. Do some kind of damage. Just don't cut off the face mask of Joe Montana. Do you hear me? Like,
I can't believe that happened. Unbelievable.
I want you to do damage to the stadium, but I want you to do it by cheering and rocking it so loud, not actually
and not ripping stuff off.
like not really destructing things. So, but yeah, guys, that's just I'm glad they found that person, and Joe Montana's face mask is actually fixed now, so that's awesome. But yeah, guys, going forward, man, it's look, Bob Money says it perfect, man. No more excuses. No more excuses.
Yeah, this is the push.
Yeah,
this is the push.
This is that little push that you guys get there to say, we can't do it. No, don't do that. Don't take a drink every time Goodwin drops the ball. We'll have a lot of people that are drunk and
drunk people.
But yeah, guys, that's all I got for the rest of the night. So make sure you set that bell and notifications. Like I said, hit that like and subscribe button so that you know when we do some impromptu videos for you. And other than that, man, I don't have anything else. Perry, you got anything else?
Nah, man, that's it for me.
All right, guys. Above all else, stay faithful. We out of here.